Chapter 45:01. Luo Yuanshan spoke. Sword maniac young master, I have offended you before. My son, Luo Fifan, has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I hope young master can forgive him. Everyone was stunned. What did they just see? Luo family's patriarch, Luo Yuanshan, was actually apologizing. Are they dreaming? Luo Fifan was even more dumbfounded. What a joke, father. This kid has no background. He is not even from the grotto heaven. Kill him and avenge me. He is really crazy. His father is the patriarch of Luo family. Luo family is one of the three major families in Qianquan ancient city. Their status is extraordinary, and no one dares to provoke them. Especially now they were in their territory. Why should they apologize? He really can't understand. Luo Yuanshan frowned. Stupid thing. I usually cultivate you in vain. He was really mad. The person in front of him has an extraordinary identity. Even if they are from the ancient city, they dare not provoke him. However, his son actually provoked him. If he is not his son, he would have slapped him to death. The other party is an existence that can use the power of reincarnation. In Piaomiao Peak, his status is extremely extraordinary. To offend such a person is to offend Piaomiao Peak. The strength of Piaomiao Peak, their Luo family, cannot stop. After the initial madness and shock, Luo Fifan also calmed down. His eyes were filled with fear. He knew that his father is not a coward, but an overlord, devising strategies, turning the hand of the clouds, turning the hand of the rain. Such a person's strength, vision, and knowledge are far from what he can compare. Since his father is so respectful, it shows that the other party is definitely not ordinary. Some things he can't find out at all. This person's identity is above his father. Thinking of this, he was so scared that he almost knelt down. He actually offended such a person. Damn, these idiots in the grotto heaven actually misled him. Those people in the surrounding grotto heaven were even more shocked. They became desperate, one by one kneeling on the ground. Before, they were apologizing and begging for forgiveness. However, later, when Luo Yuanshan came, they became arrogant again, thinking that the other party is dead. But who would have thought that Luo Yuanshan has to treat him with respect? How could this kid be a rogue cultivator? This guy was definitely hiding his strength. They no longer dared to be arrogant. They all knelt down and kowtowed incessantly, begging for mercy. Lin Xian looked at Luo Yuanshan and said, he hoped that the Luo clan would not pass this matter to him. Hearing this, Luo Fifan's face changed. Was he going to deprive him of his status as the young patriarch? He exclaimed, Father, shut up. Luo Yuanshan shouted coldly, then looked at Lin Xian. Young master, you're right. I understand. From now on, Luo Fifan was no longer the young lord of the Luo family, nor would he inherit the Luo family. The guards of the Luo clan were all stunned. This was a shocking change. Luo Fifan fell to the ground with a thump. His soul seemed to have disappeared. His most precious identity had been stripped away with a single sentence. I wonder if young master is satisfied? Luo Yuanshan asked again. Lin Xian nodded, then looked at the people in the surrounding grotto heavens. As for these people, I want to cripple their limbs and destroy their cultivations. Do you have any objections? Luo Yuanshan shook his head. He had no objections. It was all up to the young master. Very well. Lin Xian waved his hand. An endless sword cut off the limbs of the grotto heavens experts and destroyed their cultivations. He wanted to turn them into cripples. Screams could be heard, making one's scalp numb. Luo Yuanshan's pupils shrank. This person was young, but he was very decisive. He did not show any mercy to his enemies. Fortunately, he came personally and apologized. Otherwise, the Luo clan would be in danger. Young master, please come to the Luo clan. We'll definitely treat you well and give you a welcome. Luo Yuanshan invited him again. Lin Xian nodded, then looked at Qin Xianer and Yin Su. He said, You two can go back to the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. As for today's matter, don't worry. If the elders of the Grotto Heavens are not convinced, ask them to come to me." After that, he turned around and led the way. He walked out of the main hall with the Luo clan's members. At the back, Su was stunned. She pinched her face and exclaimed, "Who is this young Master Jin Qi?" Qin Sienna also sighed and smiled bitterly. "I can't see through him anymore." Lin Xian and Su left. What happened here spread, and people from the other Grotto Heavens rushed over. When they saw their geniuses and experts being crippled, they immediately roared into the sky. Who was it? They had to catch the culprit and tear him into pieces. After an elder of the Luo clan arrived, he said a few words, and the people of the Grotto Heavens calmed down. The person who attacked was respectfully asked to leave by the Luo clan's head. Moreover, the young clan leader of the Luo clan lost his position as the young clan leader because he offended the culprit. This scene shocked the people of the Grotto Heavens. They knew that the culprit must be an extraordinary person. It seemed that their disciples were too stupid to offend such a person. They were lucky to be alive. Therefore, they did not dare to talk about revenge. In the following time, more and more experts entered the Qinquan ancient city. The people of the Grotto Heavens also restrained their disciples from causing trouble. After all, the news of the first hall of Qinquan ancient city had spread, and others were shocked. Such an unknown person could very well have a boundless background. If they were to provoke him slightly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, these people were cautious. In addition, the day of the full moon would arrive soon. At that time, they would be able to find out the true secret of the Qinquan ancient city. The Luo clan was one of the 3 great clans of the ancient city. The mansion was extremely grand and huge. In a pavilion of the Luo clan, Lin Xian sat, cross-legged. The laws on his body flickered, and the surrounding treasures gradually melted and were absorbed by him. Not long after, he opened his eyes, and there was a cold light in his eyes. Buzz. He took out a scroll and looked at it carefully. After arriving, the Luo clan treated him with respect, and he was happy to do so. Moreover, the Luo clan was one of the great clans here, and naturally knew more about the Qinquan ancient city. Lin Xian asked some questions and learned some secrets. The origin of the Qinquan ancient city was not ordinary, and could even be said to be extremely shocking. This ancient city was built by a great emperor, the Emperor of Qinquan. In the ancient times, he was also an extremely terrifying great emperor. The Emperor of Qinquan had 2 disciples, and they were the Qian Grand Sage and the Kuan Grand Sage. Both of them eventually reached the peak of the Great Sage realm, but they could not take another step forward, and had no fate with the Great Emperor realm. Even so, they were invincible existences below the Great Emperor realm. Chapter 45:02. These 2 great sages had once fought for the Qinquan ancient city during the time of the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. The 2 fought earth-shattering, but in the end, neither could do anything to the other. Thus, they settled down in the Qinquan ancient city. Each occupied half. It was said that later, the Qian Supreme Sage passed away here, while the Kuan Supreme Sage left in his later years and eventually disappeared. These legends undoubtedly indicated that there was something incredible buried in the Qinquan ancient city. Otherwise, the 2 peaked great saints would not have fought so fiercely. Perhaps it was really related to the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. After learning this news, Lin Xian was also surprised. This ancient city was related to the Emperor, which meant that he could break through in the Qinquan ancient city. Thinking of this, he was really happy, since he already knew the location of the breakthrough. Then, the next step was to find enough resources to break through. Lin Xian took out the map again and looked at it. At the same time, he also took out the bronze key. At this moment, the door opened, and the toad and Little White flew in. Their stomachs were bulging. Obviously, the two of them had eaten endless heaven and earth treasures. The toad was swaying as it walked. It was really too high. This was the first time I was so satisfied. The toad burped as it spoke. Little White couldn't walk any further and jumped into the black earth to sleep. Lin Xian also threw the toad in and then set up the array again. He activated the heavenly secret god eye and carefully looked at the key. Lin Xian poured his power into the bronze key to see if there were any changes. However, at this moment, the entire Qianquan ancient city was stunned. What happened? Countless people were shocked. They all soared into the sky. Did something happen in the Qianquan ancient city again? Everyone felt an old sigh in their ears. What was going on? The situation had happened again. Everyone was shocked. One by one, the powerhouses looked through heaven and earth to investigate. Who was it? Some people in the Qianquan ancient city frowned. It should not be. Today was not the night of the full moon. Why would such a change happen? Lin Xian was also shocked. What a terrifying phenomenon. There was really a sigh. He used the heavenly secret god ability to look around, but did not find out who made it. However, what shocked him even more was that the bronze key in his hand changed again. Countless runes appeared on the surface of the bronze key. They spread out and formed a spirit formation gate. What is this? Lin Xian was stunned. He had never expected such a change. Could it be that the sighing sound was because he had brought the bronze key? Then, was this the place he was looking for? Lin Xian's eyes blossomed with radiance. Without any hesitation, he placed the bronze key into the spirit formation gate and began to rotate it. There was a cracking sound. The spirit formation gate seemed to have been opened. The next moment, the entire Qianquan ancient city started to tremble violently. Everyone in the Qianquan ancient city was startled awake as they soared into the sky. What exactly happened? Heaven and Earth City seemed like it was about to rise from the ground. It couldn't be. Could it be that this ancient city was about to ascend and become a flying immortal? Countless cries of surprise rang out. The Luo family, as one of the three great families of Qianquan ancient city, was naturally alarmed by this scene. The Luo family's patriarch and a group of elders walked out with solemn expressions. Sure enough, a change had occurred, and it had occurred in advance. Everyone, prepare yourselves. With a command, the surrounding formations flickered. These experts focused their attention on the situation. Lin Xian also walked out. He floated in the air and carefully sensed the situation. He wondered what kind of change would occur in the end. Outside the Qianquan ancient city, countless people were rushing over. They had arrived relatively late, but they were not worried. There were still 5 days until the night of the true full moon. However, when they arrived near the Qianquan ancient city, they discovered that a change had occurred in front of them. The Qianquan ancient city rose from the ground, as if it was about to ascend. They were anxious and wanted to approach it. However, that enormous power sent them flying. There was even a sage king whose body directly turned into a bloody mist. The others did not dare to approach and could only watch from afar. What was that? They saw a huge palm reaching out from the cracked ground. The palm was extremely huge. It dragged the Qianquan ancient city and rose from the ground. The ground around the ancient city was constantly cracking open, and a huge canyon appeared. From within the crack, an even larger shadow emerged. It was a city. The Qianquan ancient city was only a part of it. There was more underground. Countless people were stunned. They rose into the air one after another. At this moment, the area that appeared from underground was twice as large as the previous Qianquan ancient city. The Qianquan ancient city was already very large, like a country. At this moment, it had doubled in size. It was truly unimaginable. Did no one notice it before? That palm, whose palm was it? It could actually lift up an ancient city. Countless shocked voices sounded. Inside the Qinquan ancient city, everyone felt the sky and earth shake. Some of them wanted to escape, but they were also forced back by that force. Soon, they also discovered it. Some people stood at the edge of the city wall, but at this moment, a new area appeared in front of them. It had just come out of the ground. There was soil on it, and a lot of gravel scattered all over the ground. What was going on? Countless people were surprised. Those families that had originally lived in the Qinquan ancient city were even more shocked. They did not expect that the city that they had lived in for countless years would actually hide a part of it. Now, it had truly appeared. Not only that, they felt an extremely mysterious and terrifying aura burst out from the ancient city. These new areas were not simple at all. It seemed that the secret was in these new areas. Countless people took a deep breath. When the shaking calmed down, they were ready to move out and investigate. Lin Xian was also incomparably surprised. He did not expect it to be like this. He had the heavenly secret divine eye and could see through everything. He saw a gigantic palm stretching out from the ground. However, he was unable to investigate those areas that had just appeared. It seemed that there were mysterious runes blocking everything. It seemed that he could only go there personally to investigate. After a long time, the Qinquan ancient city stopped shaking and gradually calmed down. An aura surged in all directions. "Let's go!" Some people couldn't wait any longer and flew off in all directions. It seemed that they wanted to investigate. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He looked at the toad and said, "Let's go and take a look too." The toad could not wait any longer. When it heard this, it instantly jumped out. "I'm here to hunt for treasures." Its strange cries sounded between heaven and earth. These new city areas were very cold. It was unknown whether it was because they had been buried under the ground for countless years or because of other special reasons. It gave people a creepy feeling. The ground was black, and the surrounding buildings had endless runes on them. Although they were simple and dim, the aura that was emitted was still shocking. It was truly a mysterious place. Chapter 45:03 Buzz. On the deserted street, two figures suddenly appeared. It was Lin Xian and the toad. They came to this new area and looked around curiously. "Something is wrong. We have to be careful." The toad doesn't dare to be careless either. Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, this was an ancient city built by the great emperor himself. Who knew what terrifying things there were? At this time, more than a dozen figures rushed over from behind. They were disciples of the Grotto Heaven, ancient race, and even native clans of Qinquan ancient city. After they arrived, they also looked around curiously. No one looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian changed his appearance. These people didn't recognize him. In addition, Lin Xian's aura wasn't strong, so these people ignored him. There were so many buildings here. There might be treasures inside. Let's go check it out. 3 silhouettes flew forward. There was a pavilion in front of them. It was 7 stories high and looked very simple. The 3 of them came to the front and smashed the door with one palm. Then they walked in. The others also took a deep breath and prepared to move. At this moment, a scream suddenly came from the pavilion that they had entered earlier. Then Saint Blood flew out. There was even the sound of bones breaking. What happened? Everyone here was an expert. The weakest was a half-step Saint King. At this moment, they felt their hair stand on end. Was there anyone else in this area? It shouldn't be. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Someone had come earlier than him. He frowned. His eyes flashed as he looked forward. The next moment, his pupils shrank. The others exclaimed and took 3 steps back. They were all facing a great enemy. From the broken pavilion, a figure rushed out. It was one of the 3 people who went in. At this moment, he was covered in blood. Half of his body had disappeared. His internal organs were shattered. Demon. There was a demon inside. Run. Demon? Everyone was taken aback. Before they could react, they saw a pitch-black hand grabbing onto the door frame. Then a figure walked out. It was a black figure. It was very ferocious. There were barbs on its body. It looked like a demon beast. His eyes were incomparably blood-red. Furthermore, they were extremely large. They took up nearly half of his entire face. The remaining half was a bloody mouth with sharp fangs that were comparable to a saint weapon. He looked extremely ferocious, like a demon that had crawled out from hell. At this moment, saint blood was dripping from the bloody mouth, as well as some bones that had yet to be swallowed. Clearly, these were the bodies of the two people from before. Was it actually eaten by the other party? The faces of the surrounding people were extremely ugly. Roar! With a roar, the ferocious black demonic figure jumped out and crushed the escaping expert with a stomp. That person was a half-step Saint King, but at this moment, his body was crushed by this foot. Then, his blood was swallowed by the ferocious demonic shadow on his back. Roar! His blood-red eyes emitted an even more terrifying light. He roared at the sky, and a boundless blood aura filled the air. At the same time, deep roars could be heard from the surrounding buildings. No way. Could there be more than one? The surrounding people were stunned. They saw a pair of scarlet eyes shining through the cracks of the buildings. Boom, boom, boom. Then there was the sound of something breaking through the air. The windows of the buildings were torn apart, and then all the black demonic shadows flew out. Some of them were in human form, standing and walking. Some were like demonic beasts running on all fours. Some even had black tails and black wings. But without exception, all of them had blood-red eyes and ferocious faces. The surrounding people's faces were extremely ugly. They had originally come to search for treasures. But who would have thought that this new area would have so many terrifying things? Even Lin Xian furrowed his brows. Could it be that all these things had been sealed under the ground before? Now that they had been opened for some strange reason? He was very suspicious now. What exactly was this key that he had obtained? Could it be that it would release countless terrifying demons? Terrifying demonic shadows appeared around them. There were nearly 50 of them, and they firmly surrounded Lin Xian and the others. At this moment, there was already a shocking collision in the distant area, and there were also screams. Someone exclaimed. It seemed that they were not the only place. Other places also had such demonic shadows. There was even a huge battle, and some people had already fallen. Let's do it, Lin Xian roared. He stomped his foot and slashed out with his sword. The toad roared, "Get out of my way." His voice turned into sound waves that swept in all directions. The surrounding void continued to shatter as the earth rumbled under the impact of the collision. However, this building was personally built by the great emperor, so it would not be destroyed. But it was still shaking violently. Hurry up and do it. After Lin Xian made his move, the surrounding powerhouses of the Grotto Heavens and families also made their moves. They had all been through hundreds of battles to cultivate to this level. Even though he had been scared stiff earlier, his counterattack was extremely sharp and fierce at this moment. There were only a dozen of them, but they managed to stop the demonic shadows. Their cooperation was also getting better and better. Of course, there were also people who were injured in the process. One of them even had half of his body torn apart. Although these guys were strange and mysterious, they were not very strong. We can still handle it. The toad also heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian frowned because he felt that the first one that appeared was blocking him. The strength of this one was more terrifying than the others. That pair of blood-red eyes made him feel extremely uncomfortable, but soon he sneered. "Want to attack me? You must be tired of living." Golden light burst out from his eyes, and the soul sword flew out. The pupils of the other party's blood-red eyes shrank. His soul was severely injured. In the next moment, he let out a shrill roar. Many people were bleeding from their 7 orifices, and their ears were about to burst. He crazily charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was stunned. He was still alive. That shouldn't be. With his soul power and the heavenly secret god eyes, this attack would definitely shatter the other party's soul. Even if he didn't die, he would have lost the power to resist. However, the other party still charged over. Moreover, his aura did not weaken. What was going on with these guys? Lin Xian frowned. His body swayed, and he dodged the other party's attack. Then he kicked out. It collided with the other party's huge demonic claw, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. The demonic shadow was sent flying and crashed into a wall in the distance. This guy was so strong. When the experts from the surrounding grotto heavens saw that Lin Xian had forced his opponent to retreat with a single blow, they were shocked beyond words. They felt that the other party was only a holy venerable. Where did this genius come from? Lin Xian's expression was ugly. When he was approaching just now, he used the heavenly secret god eyes to check. These demonic shadows did not seem to have souls. No wonder they ignored his heavenly secret godchild. Without souls, the eye technique was useless. His kick just now had shattered the other party's claw, but no blood flowed out. This made him feel even more strange. Chapter 4504. In front of them, the huge demonic shadow was injured. It was extremely angry and roared as it charged over. Its blood-red eyes caused a red light to appear on its body. Another grab. This attack was even more terrifying than the previous one. Lin Xian snorted coldly and used the man-ruler seal to send the other party flying. The broken body was torn apart and scattered all over the ground, as if it had turned into sand. Go. Lin Xian waved the man-ruler seal and sent all the demonic shadows flying like a peerless god of war. On the toad's side, 2 of them were also sent flying. The 2 of them directly broke out of the encirclement and soared into the sky. Good opportunity. Let's go. Behind them, the experts of the grotto heavens saw this scene and rushed over. However, in the next moment, they were swallowed up by even more demonic shadows. There were even 2 of them who were directly swallowed as food. Lin Xian and the others were about to leave when Xiao Bai jumped out and pointed at the pagoda. There seems to be something inside. Unfortunately, I can't get it out of my treasure bowl. Hearing this, the toad was also stunned. Then it said, "Kid, the thing that Xiao Bai is talking about must be something good." Lin Xian was also surprised. He looked at the pagoda and directly went to the 7th floor. He smashed the window with a palm. After the 3 of them entered, they discovered that there was actually a skeleton sitting there. There was no flesh on it, but there was a heart in his hand. It was the will of a sage king, and it seemed to be the will of a peak sage king. The toad exclaimed, "This thing contained endless great Tao of heaven and earth." It was very helpful for one's comprehension of the great Tao. Lin Xian's eyes lit up instantly. He had obtained the will of a sage king before, and it was indeed helpful to the great Tao. He didn't expect to encounter such a thing here this time. "Kid, hurry up and take it away." The toad couldn't wait. However, at this moment, there was the sound of wind breaking behind them. In an instant, the void behind them was torn apart, and they were nearby. A powerful aura suppressed everything. The toad was stunned. Lin Xian also turned his head to look. Many figures descended from the sky and floated in the void. These people had lofty horns on their heads and wings of laws on their backs. When they flapped their wings, they brought about a strange storm of laws. Lin Xian from the flying feather grotto heaven frowned slightly. The law wings on his back were the symbol of the flying feather grotto heaven. The man in the lead had a pair of green laws behind his back. Great Tao interweaved on the wings, making them look extremely mysterious. Right now, he was standing in the air, his eyes able to see through everything. He looked at the heart of the Sage King with a smile on his face. "Looks like my luck is pretty good. I've just arrived, and I've already found a good treasure." In other words, it seemed that the Sage King's will was already his. What was the meaning of this? Are you blind? Can't you see that we're here first? The toad snorted coldly. These people were too arrogant. No, they were too arrogant. A toad dares to be arrogant in front of us? Get out of here. Someone stood out and shouted coldly. This person exuded the aura of a sage ruler. F***CK. Do you believe that I won't slap you to death? The toad was also enraged. Lin Xian looked ahead. In front of him, there were a total of 12 figures. Among them, there were actually 5 to 6 figures who had reached the Sage King realm, especially the one in the lead. His aura was extremely cold. He was an extremely terrifying existence in the early stage of the Sage King realm. Such a powerful team could indeed suppress everything. But to meet him, I'm afraid it's not enough. You're courting death. The Sage King who stood out roared angrily. The fiery red wings on his back directly slashed down. Like a flaming heavenly blade, it slashed towards the toad. The people from the other grotto heavens also laughed. A toad. It couldn't even withstand a single blow. The toad was furious. He didn't dodge and directly jumped up. Divine Toad Palm. He slapped out his claws and hit the flaming wings, causing the wings to tremble and dim. The flames on them were extinguished. The Sage King retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. The people around him also couldn't believe it. Could it be that this toad was a Sage King realm beast? Damn it, the injured Sage King still wanted to attack. He was simply embarrassed to be injured by a toad. But at this moment, the leader, Qing Ci, waved his hand and stopped him. Junior brother, don't be rude. The injured Sage King could only grit his teeth and stop unwillingly. Qing Ci raised his head and looked at the toad, then looked at Lin Xian. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. I'm Qing Ci. These are all my fellow disciples. We're from the Flying Feather Grotto Heaven. Can the two of you give me face and leave this place? Give me the Sage King's will. Although it was a discussion, his words were unquestionable. The people behind him also laughed. They had such a powerful lineup, 5 Sage Kings. As long as the other party wasn't a fool, they definitely wouldn't attack again. You want us to give up with just a few words? The toad was furious. Come, come, come. I'll teach you how to be a person. He wanted to attack. However, Lin Xian held him down and then smiled. All right, I'll give it to you. What's going on? The toad was stunned. Are you sure? This wasn't Lin Xian's style. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously and then sent a voice transmission. Let's go. It's not safe here. Let them attack first. After the toad heard this, it immediately grinned. Good boy. So the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Interesting. The toad snorted coldly. Today, I'll give in to you. After speaking, he directly jumped out. Lin Xian's figure also swayed, and he soared into the sky. However, Little White, who was on his shoulder, had already disappeared. Very good. The corners of Qing Ci's mouth curled up into a smile. The others also smiled. As expected, with such a powerful lineup, no one dared to fight against them. The group of people landed on the 7th floor of the pagoda, looking at the Sage Kings while in front of them. Their eyes emitted a fiery red light. At this moment, Qing Ci said, Junior brothers, this Sage King's will, can you give it to me? As for your losses, I'll use other treasures to compensate you. The pupils of the 2 Sage Kings constricted. A hint of unwillingness appeared in their eyes. This was also a very important thing to them. It was very helpful to their comprehension of the great Tao. However, the other 3 Sage Kings smiled and said, Of course we won't fight with senior brother Qing Ci. The other half-step Sage Kings naturally didn't dare to say anything. The 2 Sage Kings looked at each other and sighed. They didn't resist. Forget it. After thinking about it, the other party would probably use other treasures to make up for their losses after returning. Thank you, junior brothers. I won't stand on ceremony. There was a satisfied smile on Qing Si's face. He flew to the front and grabbed towards the Sage King's will. He was about to grab it. However, at this moment, a blood-red light suddenly burst out from the white bone's eye sockets. Immediately after, the bones in his body cracked and a black claw slapped over. Chapter 45:05. Boom. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. Qing's eye was pierced through. His heart had been crushed. He was severely injured. Damn it, there was a trap. Oh no! Help senior brother! The others shouted angrily and attacked with their divine abilities. They attacked the Black Claw. The claw tore open the void, and a demonic shadow walked out again. With a roar, he charged out. Damn it, kill him for me! Qing's eye shouted angrily. The treasure was right in front of him, but he fell into a trap. He couldn't stand it. His broken heart healed, and his body emitted a green light. A wind blade flew out and swept through the 9 heavens. He attacked aggressively, and at the same time, he looked at the white bone that was sitting cross-legged. This he cried out in surprise. The Holy King's will in the white bone palm was swept away by a white light and disappeared. Damn it! Where do you think you're going? He attacked the void with a terrifying wind thorn. However, it hit nothing but the void. The white figure had long disappeared, and the Holy King's will disappeared at the same time. Damn it, was it snatched away? Damn it, who was it? Qing's eye roared. He felt that he had been tricked. He wanted to find out who dared to plot against him. However, the black storm rushed over and turned into claws that covered the sky, enveloping him. He could only fight with all his strength. This time, the black demonic shadow was unusually terrifying. However, they had more people, and 5 Holy Kings were still able to deal with it. However, at this moment, another low roar was heard. Then another palm stretched out from the white bone, and a second demonic shadow appeared. Oh no! Qing's eye and the others were in despair. They were afraid that they were in danger with 2 demonic shadows. To their surprise, the second demonic shadow only let out a roar and tore open the void and disappeared. In the distant void, Lin Xian and the toad stood there and waited. Little White returned with the Holy King's will in his hand. Great! Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. The toad also laughed heartily. Little guy, well done. Little White's big eyes narrowed into crescent moons. Boom! Suddenly, a palm shattered the void and enveloped him. Little White disappeared instantly, and when he reappeared, he was already on Lin Xian's shoulder. Who is it? Lin Xian roared. The toad also roared. Who is it? You dare to hit something that this great master has his eyes on. The 2 of them looked ahead. The void in front of him shattered, and a black demonic figure walked out again. Not good. They actually chased after him. Damn it, aren't these guys too strong? Lin Xian frowned. The toad was also astonished. Brat, be careful. This one seemed to be even more terrifying than the previous ones. Lin Xian took a deep breath and let Little White enter the great sage tower first. His eyes shone with an extremely cold light. Streaks of golden light emerged from his body, as if he had transformed into the Sun War god. Roar! The demonic shadow in front didn't say anything. It opened its mouth and roared. A black storm flew towards Lin Xian. It turned into a crescent of light and descended from the sky. Fight! Lin Xian coldly harumphed. He formed a seal with his palm, the man-ruler seal, and slapped out. At the same time, in the surroundings, the 10 ultimate sword formation was activated. The sword lights that filled the sky poured down like a rainstorm. The toad also moved out. Divine Toad Palm She was like a ghost, attacking from behind. With a clang, she slapped the other party's back, causing the other party to tremble and almost fall. Only some cracks appeared on the other party's body, but it didn't shatter. F***CK. So strong? The toad was surprised. This guy had the cultivation of a mid-stage holy king. The toad had also reached the holy king realm. An ordinary early-stage holy king would definitely be torn apart under this palm. But the other party withstood it. Lin Xian frowned. The man-ruler seal hit the other party's body and sent him flying. Cracks also appeared on the other party's body, but it didn't shatter. The demonic figure roared, and a terrifying red light burst out from his eyes. At the same time, there was a black aura in his body that spread out. The surrounding void kept shattering. How terrifying! This guy could actually increase his strength. The toad exclaimed, "What the hell was this?" Lin Xian said that it wasn't demonic qi. He had the Great Destruction Spear, so he could naturally feel the powerful demonic qi. This wasn't demonic qi. Instead, it was a bit like his law of death. What the other party used was a cold aura of death. Boom! A terrifying vibration sounded, and a wave of power swept out. Lin Xian used his divine body to block. The toad was blown away and cried out in pain. F***CK. It hurts so much. Kid, hurry up and kill him. Buzz. Lin Xian's figure swayed, and the great Tao spread under his feet. Endless sword shadows appeared in his hand. Sword chi overflowed, and 10 types of law swept through everything. It completely destroyed that terrifying aura of death. Buzz. The demonic figure was forced back, and he roared again and again. An extremely terrifying light burst out from his red eyes. He flew out and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian blocked. With a clang, the sword chi shook, and he was forced back. His entire arm was numb. Humph! Lin Xian was completely enraged. He slapped out with the man-ruler seal, and a terrifying power slammed into the other party's body. The demonic figure was sent flying. Before he could stand up, a huge mountain pressed down from the sky. The mountain-embracing seal had completely suppressed the other party. It was settled. The toad flew over. This kid was good. His strength was getting stronger and stronger. He could even suppress a mid-stage holy king. However, Lin Xian frowned. He realized that something was wrong. Although he held the mountain and suppressed the other party roared crazily. The power in his body surged, as if he was going to carry the ancient mountain. With a roar, the ground split open and the void shattered. The ancient demonic mountain was actually carried by him. Too strong. The difference in strength between a mid-stage holy king and an early-stage holy king was more than 10 times. A mid-stage holy king could kill an early-stage holy king with a single punch. He had absolute strength to suppress. Only Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, and the divine body could cross 2 realms to contend against him. But even so, he couldn't immediately suppress the other party. The demonic figure was truly incomparably terrifying. The toad's scalp also went numb. He thought of something and said with a pale face, "Damn it, this couldn't be something from the 9 nether underworld, right? What do you know?" Lin Xian asked. As the toad dodged, it said, "Let's deal with him first. I know. This guy's defense is very strong. I'll break through his defense later. Take the opportunity to attack and attack his vital points. You must shatter his body." Lin Xian waved his hand. The dragon roared in his body, and the dragon-shaped sword energy flew out. It could destroy everything. The demonic figure's body was strong, but under the dragon sword chi, cracks appeared. There was no blood, but it was indeed shocking. The toad seized the opportunity and used it crazily. Divine Toad Fist. His body grew larger, turning into a huge monster. With a palm, he blasted the other party into pieces. Under the attacks of the two, they finally killed the other party. It was finally settled. The toad's body was like a mountain. It quickly shrank and finally became the size of a palm. It jumped up again. It really wasn't easy. If you didn't have the great dragon sword soul, it would be very troublesome to kill this thing. Chapter 45:06. Lin Xian also frowned slightly. These things were too troublesome. Not only were there many of them, but they were also very powerful. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. His guess was right. Many geniuses and experts had already died in other places. Fortunately, although it was dangerous, their harvest was quite bountiful. Lin Xian summoned Little White. Little White held the sage monarch's will and squinted its eyes. Lin Xian took it and slashed out with sword qi, splitting the sage monarch's will into 3 pieces. He took one piece and gave the other 2 to the toad and Little White. Lin Xian held the piece of sage monarch's will and asked while absorbing it, "Toad, what do you know? What is the 9 nether underworld you mentioned? I think you should have heard of it when you were in the true spirit world. The human realm, the underworld, and the heavenly court. You have already seen the human realm. The underworld and the heavenly court are the other 2 mysterious existences. They are not weaker than the human realm. They had existed since ancient times. No one knew exactly where they were, and no one knew who was in their organization. We only know that they are spread throughout the universe." Lin Xian was shocked. He had naturally heard of it. When he was in the true spirit world, he had also encountered the underworld and was killed by assassins. He just didn't expect to encounter the underworld again. The buried Emperor's star was truly mysterious. The human realm was here, and the underworld had also appeared here. Furthermore, it had appeared in the Qinquan ancient city. What was the connection between the 2? The toad knew more. He said that the human realm was in charge of the heavenly punishment. You should have experienced this. Lin Xian nodded. He was called the person abandoned by the heavens. Every time he broke through, a blood-colored heavenly punishment would descend, wanting to destroy his soul. And these people had connections with the human realm. Therefore, the human realm was in charge of the heavenly punishment. What did the underworld control? The toad took a deep breath. The underworld controlled reincarnation. Reincarnation. He had seen the power of reincarnation before. The reincarnation protector who controlled the passage, and the ethereal peak's reincarnation power seemed to be related to reincarnation. Lin Xian said, "Could it be that the underworld and the ethereal peak are related? I am not sure, but I don't think it's a big deal." Although the power of reincarnation was rare, it was not under the control of any single power. Most importantly, it was controlled by hell. As for the other powers of reincarnation, they might seem formidable in the eyes of ordinary people. However, in the eyes of top-tier powerful beings, they were nothing more than some trump cards. Things were getting more and more interesting. The toad was like an old monster with a mysterious smile. Lin Xian asked, "What else are you hiding?" The toad said, "Do you know what the main force behind divine punishment and samsara is?" Lin Xian was stunned. Could it be the heavenly punishment sword and the samsara sword? The toad nodded. That's right. There must be the heaven's punishment sword behind the human world. And there should be the reincarnation sword behind the underworld. Of course, I'm not sure if it's the complete heaven punishment sword and samsara sword. After all, there had been a terrifying battle in the past. In that battle, even the great dragon sword was broken, and the great dragon sword's soul was scattered. The samsara sword and the heavenly punishment sword were probably also badly damaged. When Lin Xian heard this, he was shocked. Just what kind of battle could cause such a divine sword to be damaged? He only had the great dragon sword soul now, and the great dragon sword was still missing. From what the toad said, it seemed to have been damaged. Could it be a battle between great emperors? He was asking, but the toad shook its head and said, "I'm not sure either. It was too long ago." Look, he's going to disappear. At this moment, Little White pointed at the dismembered body in front of them and shouted, Lin Xian and the toad turned their heads to look. They saw that the demonic shadow that they had broken was slowly healing. Then its body gradually grew bigger. There was a millstone-like thing that seemed to be absorbing it. Kid, leave it behind. Who knows, you might be able to find a trace of the secret of reincarnation. The toad shouted. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul. Sword Qi swept across, cutting through the void and destroying the power of reincarnation. He formed a sword domain and enveloped the demonic shadow. Since this thing was related to reincarnation, and Lin Xian's heavenly secret child prodigy had absorbed the power of reincarnation, he was going to try and see if he could control this demonic shadow. His heavenly secret divine eyes shone brightly and terrifying runes appeared. The power of reincarnation sprinkled down and enveloped the demonic shadow. The demonic shadow struggled in pain. Its eyes were red, as if blood was about to drip out. In the end, it was still controlled by Lin Xian. How magical! Lin Xian was surprised. If it were anyone else, they could use the heavenly secret divine eyes to attack. However, this demonic shadow seemed to have no blood or soul. Therefore, he could only use the power of reincarnation to control it. Attack! Lin Xian ordered. The demonic shadow roared and tore open the sky with its claws, shattering the void in front of it. That's great. Lin Xian smiled. This was equivalent to a powerful battle servant. This time, many experts from the Grotto Heavens and the ancient race had come. The people from Misty Peak would come too. They would meet sooner or later. Those people were experts and had brought many battle servants. If they really met them, it would be very troublesome. If they were surrounded, it would be even more dangerous. However, he was not worried now. With such a demonic shadow as a battle servant, would he be afraid of the experts from the other Grotto Heavens? Besides, there were so many demonic shadows here. If he controlled a few more, they would be courting death if they competed with him in terms of numbers. Let's go! With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian put away the demonic shadow. They turned into streams of light and disappeared into the sky. On a deserted street, 8 figures combined to form a formation. Beside them, there were layers of mountain shadows that seemed to be suppressing heaven and earth. Terrifying laws of power surged out, causing the surrounding void to shatter continuously. Inside the formation, there were 2 demonic shadows that roared at the sky. Their power was very strong. Every time they attacked, the formation would tremble. It was in danger of shattering at any time. Nearby, there was another figure dressed in white. She carried an ancient sword on her back and had a beautiful face. At this moment, she was staring at an empty hall in front of her. There was a sage king's well that was undulating. Senior Sister Xueqi, hurry up. We can't hold on any longer. A woman among the people who formed the formation spoke while gritting her teeth. These people were from the 1,000-mountain Grotto Heaven. The beautiful woman who carried an ancient sword on her back was Xueqi. She nodded and didn't hesitate. Her body flickered and turned into ice. She instantly entered the hall. She looked at the sage king's will that was floating there and waved her hand. Roar! At this moment, another crazy roar echoed out. A demonic shadow tore apart the void and charged out. It had appeared suddenly, and it came next to Xueqi. Its sharp claws seemed capable of tearing apart everything. Xueqi snorted coldly, and black frost appeared on her body. It sealed the whole world. The whole hall was sealed in ice, and the demonic shadow was also frozen. Xueqi grabbed the Sage King's will and retreated quickly. When she had just left the hall, the demonic shadow broke free from the ice and charged out. Chapter 45:07. It was so terrifying. Xueqi was surprised. She already had a 9-yin body, and she could use her peerless ice, which ordinary Saint Kings couldn't use. However, This demonic shadow could easily do it. What kind of existence was it? Let's leave quickly. She waved her hand. These demonic shadows were too terrifying. When the 8 saints of the 1,000-mountain wonderland heard her, they all retreated and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, more than 20 people descended from the sky and suppressed everything. Do you want to leave? Hand over the will you have obtained. Otherwise, none of you will be able to leave today. An ice-cold voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Shue-Chi stopped and furrowed her brows. The expressions of the 1,000-mountain wonderlands people became even more unsightly. Zi Shao looked at the peerless fairy in front of him, as well as the Saint King's will, and a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He was an outstanding powerhouse of the Xiling Wonderland, and he had brought more than 20 people with him. However, his luck wasn't too good, as he hadn't found any treasures. Instead, he had encountered many demonic shadows. They could only flee, and they didn't expect that they would find a treasure here. It was the Saint King's will. If he could get it, his power would rise again, and he could even shorten the time he needed to reach the middle stage of the Saint King realm. To him, this was the best outcome. Fairy Shue-Chi, I advise you to hand it over obediently so that you won't suffer any physical pain. Do you think you can do it? Shue-Chi snorted coldly and thrust her palm forward. Cold ice covered the sky, and everyone's hair stood on end. Zi Shao shouted coldly, and 10,000 bolts of lightning danced in the sky. They seemed like lightning dragons that swept across the area. When the lightning and ice collided, a dazzling radiance erupted. The two of them were unexpectedly in a deadlock. How is this possible? The people of the Wonderland in the surroundings were stunned. Their senior brother had already reached the Saint King realm for 10 years, and he had far surpassed Zi Shao. However, they were now in a stalemate, and they couldn't believe it. What a terrifying ice! He was really a peerless genius. However, no matter how strong you are, so what? I have brought twice as many people as you. I also have more Saint Kings than you. Moreover, you will be attacked by the demonic shadows. If you continue fighting, you will surely die. Even you won't be able to escape. Are you sure you want to do this? Zi Zhao's voice was cold, and the expressions of the people of the 1,000-mountain wonderland became unsightly. Shue-Chi snorted coldly and thought, how despicable! You're wrong. This is called strategy and tactics. Zi Shao smiled and said, hand over the item obediently. Just the likes of you still want to obtain the Holy King's will? Ants? Get lost! A voice rang out. 1,000-mountain grotto heaven, do you want to die? Zi Shao roared. The people from 1,000-mountain grotto heaven were also at a loss. They were not the ones who said that. They hurriedly explained. Shue-Chi also furrowed her brows. Who was it? Did another expert come? Who dares to meddle in the affairs of our Xiling paradise? Get over here and accept your death. 2 figures stood out and shouted coldly. However, in the next moment, they were sent flying. The void split open as 2 streaks of piercingly cold sword light slammed into their bodies, splitting them apart. Blood flowed, dyeing the earth red. Damn it, the others all acted as if they were facing a great enemy. Who was this person? He was so powerful. Who dares to go against us? Zi Shao also roared. At this moment, a figure in a red robe appeared. His cold eyes stared down. I'm going against you. Do you have a problem with that? A bunch of trash. Hurry up and kneel down before me. Obediently become my puppet, and I'll spare your lives. The toad jumped out and said coldly, where did this toad come from? Go to hell. The people from Xiling Paradise were furious. These people were courting death. Another 3 streaks of sword light shot over. Oh, my, you want to fight me? The toad sneered and sent several figures flying. Lin Xian said, since you want to fight, then stay here. An extremely terrifying killing intent appeared on his body. You? Zishao sneered. You're not even a holy king. Go to hell. His eyes emitted a cold light like lightning, and thousands of lightning bolts rushed out. They were majestic and could pierce through heaven and earth. In an instant, they engulfed Lin Xian. Ha ha! The people from the grotto heaven laughed. You can't even block one of our senior brother's attacks. How dare you be so arrogant? I don't want to dodge such weak lightning bolts. A figure walked out from the sea of lightning. His robe fluttered, but he was not injured at all. How could it be? The surrounding people were stunned. Was this guy not injured? That was the purple thunder. It was a peerless thunder-type supernatural power. Even holy kings of the same level could not block it. If they were hit, they would not even be able to use their strength. However, this guy was actually fine. What did he use to block these purple lightning bolts? Zixiao's face was cold. Kid, it seems that you have treasures on you. In that case, I'll kill you and take your treasures. An even more terrifying killing intent bloomed in his eyes. The law of thunder swept out, and the purple lightning condensed into a long spear. Purple lightning danced wildly. The lightning in the sky turned into a lightning dragon that danced wildly. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone retreated, because the power of this attack was extremely strong. Lin Xian stood there with a calm expression. Oh, the strongest attack? However, it seemed to be pitifully weak. He stretched out his palm and attacked in front of him. Boom! Like a god exploding. Thousands of divine lights flew out. After a shocking collision, the purple spear was broken in half, and Zixiao retreated. Endless cracks appeared on his body, and then with a crack he was split in half. The lower half of his body stood there, but the upper half fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked. The people of Xylan Grotto Heaven were stunned. The other party had killed their senior brother with one punch. The people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven were even more shocked. Who was this? He was too strong. Zixiao was injured. Half of his body wanted to heal, but it was trampled into pieces by the toad. His heart and soul were destroyed. Noisy ants, the toad sneered. Dead. The people of Xylan Grotto Heaven went crazy. They were terrified. Damn it, kill them and avenge senior brother. More than 20 people burst out together. 10 of them were geniuses of the Grotto Heaven, and the other dozen were battle servants. These battle servants did not even care about their lives, and directly rushed over. Lin Xian snorted. He did not make a move, but a demonic shadow appeared in front of him. The demonic shadow's eyes were red. With a roar, its claws tore open the sky. This was a mid-stage, holy venerable. Under one attack, more than 20 figures were all turned into pieces. None of them survived. Behind him, the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven were so scared that they almost knelt there. What kind of scene was this? So many saints could not even block a single attack from him. This demonic shadow was definitely a mid-stage holy king. It could kill all of them in an instant with just a slap. Also, who was this person? Why could he control the demonic shadow? Could it be that he was also a mysterious existence here? These people's scalps went numb. They did not dare to imagine. Chapter 45:08. It was settled. The toad jumped over and started searching the storage ring. Lin Xian turned his head around and looked at the members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. The members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise felt great pressure from his gaze. They felt like their bodies were bending, as if they were about to kneel down and worship their king. A man among them gritted his teeth and spoke. We are members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. Senior, thank you for helping us. May I know Senior's name? Lin Xian had changed his appearance, so they didn't recognize him. Shui Qi's lips curled into a smile. She was also shocked before, as she didn't know who could be so terrifying. When he used his power, She felt that her 9-yin body had been stimulated, and it wanted to erupt with boundless ice. There was only one person who could cause such a scene. It was the 9-yang divine body. He was her husband, so he wouldn't hurt her. However, Xueqi didn't know why the other party had disguised himself and wasn't with her. Xueqi didn't know. However, she trusted Lin Xian unconditionally. Lin Xian looked coldly at the members of the 1,000 Mountain Paradise, then looked at Xueqi. He transmitted his voice to her, saying, "Be careful. I will act alone for the time being. If you run into any danger, use the formation to inform me." Xueqi transmitted her voice back to him. Lin Xian turned around and soared into the sky with the toad. Did he finally leave? Back then, when Lin Xian disappeared, the people of the 1,000 Mountain Grotto heaved a sigh of relief and quickly left. The toad flew outside with the Great Sage Tower. Apart from Lin Xian, there were 3 other demonic shadows in the Great Sage Tower. He had already subdued one of them, while he had just captured the other 2 from Xueqi's side. After the 2 of them came, they kept roaring. However, they were quickly suppressed by Lin Xian's battle servants. Lin Xian used his reincarnation power to subdue the 2 of them. He now had 3 demonic shadow battle servants by his side. Great! Their power increased again. Now he didn't need to do anything. Once the demonic shadows appeared, they could sweep away everything. Let's go and find more treasures. Lin Xian walked out of the Great Sage Tower, and they sped up. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the distance, the melodious sound of a zither could be heard, shaking the 9 heavens. This caught Lin Xian's attention. The toad also spoke. Who was it? How could he be in the mood to play the zither here? The 2 of them landed and looked down. That was also a new region. Below, it was a mansion that had existed for a long time. It carried a wave of dust. The sound of the zither came from below. When Lin Xian was about to land, he discovered that there were many people in the courtyard. They should be people from other grotto heavens and primeval races. These people all had outstanding talents, and when they saw Lin Xian and Lin Xian descend, they all turned their heads. Their eyes were cold and filled with warning. Then they turned their heads. F***CK. What's going on? Toad cried out in alarm. The surrounding people glared at him. One of them whispered, "Lower your voice. There are people from the Misty Peak inside. My name is Meng Hao, and I'm from Boundless Paradise. How should I address you? Sire?" He looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "My name is Sword Maniac. Brother Meng Hao, what's the situation here? Someone wants to make a move on the Luo family." Meng Hao said, "The Luo family?" Lin Xian was stunned. He had just come out of the Luo family. Who was it? Was it someone from the Misty Peak? That's right, they wanted to make a move on Luo Fifan. Luo Fifan was really unlucky. He was originally very talented, but he offended someone and was removed from the position of young clan leader. Now, he didn't have many battle servants with him, and it seemed that he had some kind of treasure on him. This time, he was really going to be miserable. Luo Fifan. Lin Xian was surprised. He knew this person because he was the one who removed him from the position of young clan leader. This guy was courting death again. Did he challenge someone? It seemed that he was really hopeless. He shook his head. Meng Hao said, "This time, you guessed wrong. This time, it wasn't Luo Fifan who challenged him, but someone else." Up ahead, Luo Fifan's face was incomparably ugly. Since he was removed from the position of young clan leader, his life had been very difficult. Although he would not be bullied, no one would revere him as much as they did before. He had very few battle servants and subordinates by his side. This time, he came personally to look for some opportunities. If he could break through, he might have a chance to redeem himself. However, he didn't expect that he would be targeted. The people who targeted him were from the White Cloud Hollow. Logically speaking, with his strength, he should be able to resist them. However, he didn't expect that the misty peak was behind the white cloud hollow. Bai Hao looked at Luo Fifan and smiled. What do you think? Kid, hand over the things obediently, and I can let you live today. Otherwise, my brother will definitely kill you, even if you're from the Luo family. Moreover, you're not the young clan leader anymore. If we want to kill you, it's no different from killing an ant. Damn it, if he was the young clan leader, these people wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in the ancient city of Qianquan. You want my things? Ask your brother to come here personally. Luo Fifan gritted his teeth. There was an old man beside him, who also had an ugly expression. At this moment, his body was stained with blood. One of his arms was broken and was recovering. He was a middle-stage sage king and had watched Luo Fifan grow up. Although Luo Fifan had lost his identity, he was still by his side. Logically speaking, with such an expert protecting him, he wouldn't be afraid even if he faced the geniuses of the White Cloud Hollow. However, the girl playing the zither at the side was extremely terrifying. She was an expert from the Misty Peak, coupled with the zither in her hand. It was an extremely powerful Sage King weapon. Therefore, she injured him. One person from the Misty Peak was already so terrifying. If there was another one, it would be even more dangerous. Oh, you want me to come here personally? Just by you? Let me see if you're qualified. A loud laughter was heard. A figure walked out from the depths of the mansion. This person wore a white robe and had a strong aura. He crossed 1,000 miles in a single step and came to the front of the crowd. His cold eyes swept across the surroundings like lightning. The surrounding people exclaimed when they saw this figure. By Sangqiong, it's him. He was ranked 20th on the Misty List. The Misty List was a list set by the Misty Peak. Those who could enter the top 100 of the Misty List were extremely terrifying experts. Any one of these people could easily defeat the young geniuses of the White Cloud Hollow. Ranked 20th was an extremely terrifying supreme existence in the Misty Peak. This list only included people under 3,000 years old. Bai Sangqiong could be said to be young and promising. Damn it, Luo Fifan's face was ugly. Even if he was the young clan leader, he might not be able to resist Bai Sangqiong. It seemed that this time, he was really screwed. He said, although I'm no longer the young clan leader, the item belongs to the Luo clan. If I take it away, the Luo clan won't let it go. Are you threatening me? Bai Sangqiong sneered. All right, I'll give you a chance. If you can block my finger, I don't want the item, and I'll let you go. What if you can't block it? Then you'll kneel down obediently and hand over the item. Chapter 4509. One finger. The surrounding people exclaimed. Bai Sangqiong was powerful, but he was only an early-stage Saint King, the same realm as Luo Fifan. Was he going to defeat Luo Fifan with one finger? As expected of the genius of Misty Peak, he was confident enough. Why wouldn't he dare? Luo Fifan snorted. Although Bai Sangqiong was powerful, he couldn't even block one finger? He didn't think so. Fine, you said so. Luo Fifan gritted his teeth. He had to block Bai Sangqiong's attack, even if he had to risk his life. Therefore, he said, go ahead. Bai Sangqiong smiled proudly. You won't have a chance if I attack. So, I advise you to use your strongest technique. Luo Fifan didn't say anything. He took a deep breath, and his eyes shone with a sharp light. In the next moment, the law on his body burned rapidly. A shocking force swept out. His fists were strong enough to shatter heaven and earth. This guy was going all out. Seeing this, many people exclaimed. That was for sure. After all, he was a Saint King. As long as he could block Bai Sangqiong's finger, he would be able to leave. There was no reason for him not to fight with his life. He punched out with both fists, drawing a mysterious trajectory in the sky. A terrifying aura spread in all directions. That was the power of the law burning. You can't even withstand a single blow. Even if you fight with your life, you are still no match for me. Bai Sangqiong looked at the scene with a disdainful smile. Firmament, divine finger. Heaven and earth were shattered by Sangqiong's finger. Luo Fifen's fists couldn't block it at all. They shattered into pieces. His hands were broken and turned into a bloody mist. His body was also thrown back. He was like a kite with a broken string, falling far away. The surrounding people were stunned and speechless. Luo Fifen's punch was indeed powerful. Moreover, it was a burning law fist. Countless people felt their scalps go numb. However, such a terrifying attack couldn't even block Bai Sangqiong's finger. He was directly shattered and severely injured. Was the gap between them really that big? It was not the gap between their cultivation, but the gap between their superpowers and strength. People looked up to the people of Misty Peak. Young master, the old man of the Luo family, rushed over with a nervous face. The people of White Cloud Cave sneered. Why didn't he fight with Bai Sangqiong? Defeated, I actually lost. Luo Fifen was helped up by the old man. While vomiting blood, he shook his head crazily. He really didn't expect that he couldn't even block a single move. All right, kid, now kneel on the ground obediently and hand over the item. Bai Sangqiong was like a god looking down on everything. Just when everyone thought that Luo Fifen was finished, a voice sounded. So arrogant? I've never seen anyone more arrogant than me. When these words came out, the eyelids of the surrounding people twitched wildly. Damn, who is this? Challenging Bai Sangqiong at this time. Was he tired of living? The surrounding people all turned their heads and looked over. In the next moment, they were even more stunned. It turned out that the one who spoke was an incomparably arrogant toad. Beside him stood a man in a red robe with a cold expression. His face was unfamiliar. They weren't geniuses or experts that they knew. Who dares to challenge us? Do you want to die? The expert from White Cloud Cave shouted coldly. Countless gazes were fixed on them. The surrounding void continued to shatter. The surrounding people were so scared that their scalps went numb. They didn't dare to open their mouths. The toad snorted coldly. I thought you could destroy his soul with a single finger. Now, you've only defeated him. What's there to be arrogant about? It seems that your strength isn't that great. You're not even as strong as the kid beside me. The toad's voice once again shocked everyone. Destroy his soul with a single finger? Do you think it's so easy to kill an expert of the same level? And the kid beside you, is he famous? Can he compete with Bai Sangqiong with a strange face? Lin Xian glanced at the toad and sighed. This guy really didn't mind watching a show. Was he going to drag him down just like that? However, he wasn't afraid. Although Bai Sangqiong was powerful, he wasn't his opponent. During this period of time, he had already absorbed the Sage King's will that he had obtained, and his strength had increased again. He was already very close to becoming a half-step Sage King. Therefore, he didn't take Bai Sangqiong seriously. He was more curious about Luo Fifen. What exactly did he have that could cause such a battle? Suddenly, he was stunned. He carefully sensed Luo Fifen's aura and found that the bronze key in his hand had lit up again. Could it be that there was some connection? The bronze key could cause a shocking change in Qinquan Ancient City, and Luo Fifen was originally from Qinquan Ancient City. Perhaps he really had some treasure in his hand. Thinking of this, he made up his mind. No matter what, he had to take action today to at least get the treasure on Luo Fifen's body. The surrounding people didn't know what Lin Xian was thinking. After the toad's voice fell, they looked at Lin Xian and sized him up curiously. Who is this kid? Is he very powerful? Who knows? He's so unfamiliar. I think he's just a fool. Who doesn't know what's important? Luo Fifen also turned his head and looked over. In the next moment, his pupils shrank and a monstrous anger and killing intent appeared in his eyes. It's this kid. He would never forget that it was this kid who stripped him of his identity with a single sentence. Now he had appeared again. If it wasn't for this kid, how could he have encountered such a situation? He couldn't wait to fight with his life on the line. But he didn't dare. This kid was an existence that even his father had to treat with respect. When Lin Xian sensed the murderous intent in the other party's eyes, he turned his head and revealed a faint smile. "Oh, what's wrong? You want to kill me? Do you want to fight with me?" Luo Fifan gritted his teeth and quickly lowered his head. He didn't dare. He was now seriously injured. If he offended the kid might dare to kill him. Moreover, he seemed to have made some kind of decision and raised his head. "Master, I know you're powerful. If you can save my life, I'll give you the treasure in my hand. I swear that this treasure will never let you down." "Oh, really? Since you're willing to give me the treasure, then I can save your life," Lin Xian said. "Thank you, Master." Luo Fifan seemed to have found hope. The surrounding people were in an uproar. They were even more curious. Who was this red-robed man? He dared to say such words. Could it be that he had a great background? The cultivator from White Cloud Cave Heaven sneered. "Brat, you dare to talk big in front of me? I'm afraid you're tired of living. Come here now, or I'll let you go to hell." "Toad, slap him. I can't wait any longer." The toad turned into a bolt of lightning and jumped out. "An ant dares to fight with me?" The expert from White Cloud Cave sneered. He slapped his palm, and a blade light flashed in the sky. Boom! Crack! With a slash, the sky fell, and the earth cracked, and the void shattered. However, his palm hit nothing. There was no sign of the toad at all. As for the toad's attack, it landed on his opponent's face, causing his entire face to shatter into pieces. Chapter 45:10. A crazy roar rang out, stunning the surrounding people. How could a toad be so powerful? Who were these two people? The toad flew back and sneered. "You can't even withstand a single blow from me. Cousin, help me kill him." The man's face recovered, and he looked at Bai Sangqiong. His face was filled with anxiety, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Bai Sangqiong walked out with a cold face. "How dare you snatch something that I want? Very well, it has been a long time since anyone dared to challenge me. Today, I will personally send you two on your way." His eyes flickered with cold, killing intent. He was like a divine king overlooking the world. The toad also frowned. It had to be said that this guy was really strong and had the right to be arrogant. Lin Xian looked at him. "You are a genius of Misty Peak, right? It's not easy for you to cultivate to your level. It would be a pity if you died. How about this? Seeing that the heavens are virtuous, I'll give you a chance." He stretched out a finger and said, "One move. If you can block my move, I will not interfere in this matter, and Luo Fifan will be at your disposal. If you can't block it, then kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. I will spare your life." The surrounding people went crazy. Why was this scene so familiar? This was what Bai Sangqiong said to Luo Fifan, but they did not expect that the tables would turn. In the blink of an eye, someone said such words to Bai Sangqiong. But did this guy have the strength to say such words? Bai Sangqiong was a Saint King expert. He was ranked 20th in Misty Peak. He was extremely powerful. He could defeat an expert of the same level with just a finger. Perhaps only the more terrifying geniuses of Misty Peak could defeat such a person. The others had no hope at all. I, Bai Sangqiong, have lived for 2,300 years. This is the first time someone has dared to say such words to me. Kid, you have completely angered me. I want to see how you can defeat me with a single palm. Lin Xian looked calm and said indifferently, "You should make the first move." "Oh, right. Use all your strength. It would be best if you burn your law. Otherwise, you will not stand a chance. You are courting death. The people from White Cloud Grotto roared madly. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. However, Bai Sangqiong waved his hand and stopped them. He stared at Lin Xian, his eyes shining. You are very arrogant. I have never seen such an arrogant person. That's why I decided not to kill you. After I suppress you, I'll make you my battle servant. I want to torture you every day. I want you to know the consequences of offending me. After saying that, he stretched out another finger. It was the firmament divine finger. Did he need to use all his strength to deal with a stranger? What a joke! He could sweep away everything with a single finger. Luo Fifan would be defeated, and so would Zhang Xian. A single finger moved the universe, causing the winds and clouds to change. This attack seemed to be even more terrifying than when he had defeated Luo Fifan. This brat was most likely going to die. He was too arrogant and didn't know who Bai Sangqiong was. Well, it wouldn't be a pity for such an arrogant person to die. The surrounding people sneered. Luo Fifan was also extremely nervous. He was betting his life on Lin Xian. If Lin Xian was defeated, Bai Sangqiong would definitely not let him go. He would end up worse than death. Therefore, he was praying in his heart. Even if Lin Xian couldn't defeat him in one move, it would be enough if Lin Xian could take him away after thousands of moves. He didn't expect Lin Xian to defeat Bai Sangqiong because he felt that it was also impossible. Facing the firmament divine finger, Lin Xian also stretched out a finger and pointed it out. On his finger, endless sword light seemed to have turned into a divine sword, piercing through heaven and earth. Did this guy also think that he could defeat someone with a single finger? What a joke. He was too arrogant. Countless people went crazy. They had never seen such a reckless person. However, when Zhang Xian pointed his finger out, everyone was stunned. There was very little sword qi on his fingertip, but it surged to the 9 heavens and shone with cold light. A sword from the west, flying immortal from outer space. Everyone's body seemed to have been destroyed by this sword light. After that sword, Lin Xian retracted his finger. With a crack, heaven and earth split apart, and a huge crack appeared. Everyone was shocked. The entire space was split apart. What about Bai Sangqiong? They turned their heads and saw Bai Sangqiong's firmament divine finger frozen in the void. A black that appeared on it, and then it quickly split open. Puff! Blood spurted out, and the firmament divine finger was destroyed. Not only that, one of Bai Sangqiong's arms also split open. Everyone could see that his bones were broken. Bai Sangqiong held his arm and kept retreating. His eyes were wide open, and he couldn't believe it. What happened just now? Just when he was full of confidence, a sword enveloped him, and then he felt as if his entire arm was crippled. He couldn't use his strength anymore. What followed was endless pain and fear. His mind was blank, and he could only hear countless exclamations around him. Was he defeated? How was that possible? The people of White Cloud Cave were so scared that their bodies trembled, and they almost knelt on the ground. The god in their eyes, Bai Sangqiong, couldn't even block one finger of his opponent. Was the gap between them really so big? Luo Fifan also couldn't believe that he had won. He didn't dare to have the slightest killing intent toward Lin Xian anymore. He looked at Lin Xian as if he was an ant facing a god. Bai Sangqiong defeated him with one move, but Lin Xian defeated Bai Sangqiong with one move. His opponent's strength was more terrifying than he had imagined. No wonder his father was so respectful. It seemed that the gap between him and his father was really too big. Not only was there a gap in cultivation, but even his eyesight was so bad. You've lost. Kneel down and kowtow, Lin Xian said lightly. His voice brought everyone back to reality. Then, countless exclamations rang out. Wow, what did I just see? This kid really did it. Who exactly was he? Bai Sangqiong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. You want me to kneel down and kowtow? Are you kidding me? Damn kid, who are you? The wounds on his body were shrouded by the laws and quickly healed. You don't deserve to know who I am. You just need to fulfill your promise. I'll take him away, and you'll kowtow. You want me to kowtow? Dream on. I was careless just now. Now, I'll tear you to pieces. He shouted angrily and charged over. His whole body was like a wisp of smoke, and he instantly appeared behind Lin Xian. He must personally tear Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian sighed. It seemed that he didn't know what was good for him. His body swayed, and he turned into an afterimage, dodging the sneak attack from behind. Then he threw out a punch. With a crack, his opponent's palm shattered into a bloody mist. Damn it, why is his strength so strong? Bai Sangqiong retreated again. He realized that it was a mistake to fight in close combat with Lin Xian. He wanted to distance himself and use a peerless divine ability, but it was too late. Chapter 45:11. After Lin Xian attacked for the first time, he took a step forward and raised his knee. Like a heavenly hammer, he slammed it on the other party's body. With a bang, the other party lost all feeling in his legs. He lowered his head and found that his legs had turned into a bloody mist. The next moment, he saw a golden palm grabbing his head and slamming it on the ground. With a bang, his head was broken and bleeding, and the ground kept shaking. This was the Antiquity City. It didn't shatter, but his head was smashed. Not only that, the power spread throughout his body, making him unable to resist at all. Then, a foot stepped on his head. Since you don't know how to kneel, I'll teach you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The surrounding people were stunned. The battle between the two was too fast. It was over in the blink of an eye. So when they reacted, they saw Bai Sangqiong lying on the ground like a dog with his head stepped on. Lin Xian was still calm, as if he had done something insignificant. Impossible. I'm not dreaming. Am I? Those people from the White Cloud Grotto Heaven slapped their faces. They wanted to wake themselves up. However, they found that it was indeed the case. The other spectators swallowed their saliva. This was really a ruthless person. He actually dared to attack like this. His strength was too strong. He was simply beating up Bai Sangqiong. Since when did such a powerhouse appear? Why didn't they know about it at all? Could it be that he came from another region? Bai Sangqiong was stunned, but in the next moment he came back to his senses. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. His lungs were about to explode. Damn it, he had lived for more than 2,000 years and had never been suppressed like today. He couldn't stand it, but that foot was like a coiling dragon. He couldn't resist at all. He could only roar. Elder Lu, kill him! Kill him for me! Elder Lu, who was the woman who played the zither earlier, shouted. The old man beside Luo Fan narrowed his eyes. Oh no, he was injured by Elder Lu earlier. This Elder Lu was a mid-stage Saint Venerable. Moreover, the saint artifact in his hand was even more terrifying. Even if this young man was strong enough to defeat Bai Sangqiong, he had no chance of winning against Elder Lu. The difference in cultivation between Saint Kings was just that terrifying. No matter how powerful one was, it would be difficult to bridge the gap. Lu Qin frowned when she saw this. She was indeed an elder, and a very young one at that. She was only 3,000 years old. She was only a few hundred years older than Bai Sangqiong, but her cultivation was a realm higher than his. The reason why she had come this time around was because Bai Sangqiong had spent a large sum of money to invite her. She had always thought that Bai Sangqiong was very powerful. As long as she didn't encounter any of those older generation figures, she wouldn't have to make a move. There were even fewer people among the younger generation who could defeat him. There were only a dozen or so people who were ranked higher than him in the ethereal peak. Moreover, he might not even encounter it. But now, An unfamiliar youth had jumped out and beaten by Sangqiong to such a state. This truly surprised her. She hadn't even reacted to it before. At this moment, her expression darkened, and she said in a deep voice, "Young man, you've gone too far. Remove your feet and kneel to receive your punishment. The ethereal peak is not something you can challenge." Punishment? Lin Xian laughed as well. Were the people of the ethereal peak all so arrogant? Did they really think that they were gods? Seems like you guys are too superior. Today, I'll teach you guys a lesson. You can't go against the ethereal peak. Lu Qin shook her head. The ethereal peak had been standing here for tens of thousands of years, and no one could change that. Were the 6 grotto heavens strong? Even if they joined forces, they still weren't a match for the ethereal peak. What could a young man do? Let go of him. This is my last warning. Are you dreaming? Lin Xian snorted coldly. I've said it before. Even if he lost the previous competition, I wouldn't take his life. But after he lost, he wanted to kill me. Then he can't blame me. Did he think that no one would dare to touch him just because he was a genius of the ethereal peak? What a pity. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. He stomped his feet and shattered the other party's body. His palm turned into a dragon-shaped sword chi and pierced through the other party's soul. Boom. Bai Sangqiong didn't even have time to scream before his soul was destroyed. How dare you kill him? Lu Qin stood up abruptly with shock in her eyes. Dead? How was she going to explain to the ethereal peak when she went back? One had to know that this was a genius ranked 20th. His future achievements wouldn't be weaker than hers. He might even surpass her. How could he die outside just like that? He would be punished when he went back. Moreover, the other party was from the Bai family. The Bai family was extremely powerful in the white cloud grotto heaven. He was simply a genius. Who would dare to kill such a person? But now there was someone who didn't know what was good for him and killed him. The people around him were also going crazy. It was as if they could already foresee that a bloody storm was about to blow over. Go. These people retreated frantically. Lu Qin stood up and said coldly, "Since he's dead, you'll be buried with him." A cold light flashed in her eyes. With a flick of her hand, a zither appeared in front of her. Foaming zither. The sound of the zither was bleak, like the cry of a phoenix. It was a terrifying Saint King weapon. At this moment, the sound swept across the world. The surrounding people tried their best to resist, and they felt that their ears were about to burst. Lin Xian struck out endless sword chi, which turned into a world of sword Dao. In an instant, it shattered. Middle stage Saint King was indeed powerful. He opened his divine body to resist. The sound fell on his divine body and echoed throughout the sky. Die. He kept retreating. What's wrong with this guy's physique? He's still alive. Although Lin Xian retreated, it was like a bolt from the blue in the eyes of the crowd. Even Bai Sangqiong would be turned into ashes in an instant when facing such an attack. But the other party was only pushed back. What kind of physique was this? The old man from the Luo family was originally in despair, but when he saw this scene, hope was restored in his eyes. With this young man's physique and his help, the two of them might have a chance to escape. So he took a deep breath and prepared to join forces with Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a flick of his finger, a black figure appeared in front of him. Roar! The roar resounded through the world, blocking the sound of the zither. He actually blocked it. The old man from the Luo family was stunned. The surrounding people were also stunned. Some of the experts' pupils shrank. The demonic shadow. Not good. Retreat. The demonic shadow is here. They had all been attacked by the demonic shadow before, so when they saw the scene, they were all traumatized and retreated. This kid was really unlucky. Not only was he being chased by Elder Lu Qin, but there was also such a terrifying demonic shadow. He probably couldn't escape death. In the eyes of the crowd, Lin Xian was dead for sure. The old man from the Luo family's expression changed drastically. He couldn't imagine how the situation would change with the arrival of such a terrifying demonic shadow. But soon, everyone was stunned. They realized that the demonic shadow didn't attack. Instead, it stood beside Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. "Why? You've lived for 3,000 years, so you can beat me just because your cultivation is higher? You want to kill me? Why don't you try? Go, kill him," Lin Xian ordered. The demonic shadow in front of him roared and turned into a black lightning bolt, charging over. It waved its claws, destroying mountains and rivers. Chapter 45:12. The void in front of him kept shattering. The surrounding people were stunned. Oh, my God. This demonic shadow actually listened to the other party's words. Who was this kid? Could it be that he was a terrifying existence in this unknown region? Thinking of this, their scalps went numb. Elder Lu Qin roared angrily and attacked with her zither. Those sounds blasted on the demonic shadow's body, releasing earth-shattering attacks. The demonic shadow didn't dodge at all and allowed the attacks to come. Many cracks appeared on his body, but there was no blood. Just like that, he fought all the way to Lu Qin. He waved his claws and broke one of Lu Qin's arms, sending her flying. It was too terrifying. This was simply a suicidal attack. However, the demonic shadow didn't have blood or soul. It didn't seem to be a living thing. Even if he died, where could he die? But Lu Qin was different. If he died, he wouldn't be able to live anymore. In an instant, she was severely injured. Damn it, she quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. It was too late to leave now. He continued to attack. The demonic shadow rushed into the sky at an extremely fast speed. Black light flashed in the sky, and every attack was like a peerless blade. Damn kid! If you have the ability, fight me head-on. Lu Qin shouted angrily as she fled. She was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. An ant below the Sage King realm could make her so miserable. Lin Xian sneered. "You have the face to say that. Do you dare to suppress your cultivation and fight with me at the same level?" Lu Qin didn't dare to say anything. She could only dodge quickly. In an instant, the demonic shadow chased her far away. In the end, the two disappeared. Did they leave? The people around him still had lingering fears as they looked at Lin Xian in horror. The eyes of the few experts from White Cloud Grotto flickered. He actually killed Bai Tsangqiong. Let's kill him and avenge Bai Tsangqiong. Yes, that's right. Capture him and bring him back to tear him into pieces. More than a dozen figures surrounded him. Not good. This kid is in danger. That's right, his greatest trump card should be that demonic shadow. Without the demonic shadow, how could he fight? No matter how strong he was, two fists couldn't fight against four hands. Brat, now that you don't have any trump cards, let's see how arrogant you can be. The Saint King sneered. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wishes. With a wave of his hand, two more devilish figures appeared. Kill. With a roar, two demonic shadows rushed out. At the same time, he also punched out. In an instant, the bodies of the two Saint Kings were shattered by his punch. Lin Xian attacked aggressively, and so did the toad. Together with the two demonic shadows, they killed all of the White Cloud Grotto's powerhouses. The sky was filled with bloody mist as the saint's blood pierced through heaven and earth. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. They were too strong. Even without the protection of a middle-stage Saint King, they were still too strong. However, the strength of these people was already heaven-defying. Who else wants to have a taste of my strength? Lin Xian looked around. The surrounding people quickly retreated and left one after another. Lin Xian let out a long whistle and directly gave the order. The demonic figure in the distance flew back. His body was stained with blood, but none of it was his. It was Elder Lu Qin's blood. Although she was not dead, she was seriously injured. After returning, the demonic figure stood respectfully beside Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked at Luo Fifan. All right, show me the treasures you have on you now. Okay. Luo Fifan did not dare to have any thoughts of resistance. He took out a treasure box from his storage ring and opened it carefully. There was a bronze key inside. After Lin Xian saw it, his eyes suddenly lit up. It was very similar to the bronze key he got, but it was not the same. Obviously, if it was also related to the Qianquan ancient city, he did not know where it was opened. However, it must be very important. It seemed that this was the right thing to do. Lin Xian was very satisfied to get such a thing. Lin Xian put away the key, then looked at Luo Fifan and asked, "Where did you get this thing? Do you know where it is opened?" "I don't know." "You don't know?" Lin Xian frowned. "How did you get it?" Luo Fifan did not dare to lie. He said, "I got this thing in my family. I found it 3 years ago. At that time, I was still the young patriarch, so I could enter some important places. I found this thing in an ancient pavilion. At that time, it was covered with dust and seemed to have been forgotten. I thought it was some kind of treasure. I studied it for 3 years, but I found nothing. Then I threw it into my storage ring and ignored it. When the Qianquan ancient city changed and a new area appeared, this key also emitted light, so I knew if this is related to the Qianquan ancient city, it must be a treasure." Lin Xian was shocked when he heard that. So that was the case. It seems that his key opened the Qianquan ancient city first, which led to the later situation. I guess it has something to do with the Qianquan palace. When Bai Sangqiong wanted it, he mentioned this name. Qianquan palace? Lin Xian was stunned. Luo Fifan said, "Of course. It is the real Qianquan palace, not the Qianquan palace of my Luo family. I don't know where it is. Young master, can you let me go?" "I can let you go." Lin Xian nodded. "Keep a low profile in the future." "Young master, don't worry. I will find a place to hide and not participate in these things anymore." Luo Fifan's face was pale. He could survive this time thanks to Lin Xian, so he did not intend to take the risk again. Luo Fifan and the old man left. Lin Xian's eyes were shining. "It seems that we have to go to the Qianquan palace again. Okay, I can't wait anymore." The toad was also happy, but it asked, "Do you know where that thing is?" Lin Xian smiled. "I don't know, but the people of the Misty Peak know. There is Elder Lu Qing's blood on it. We can track his trace and definitely find the Qianquan palace. What are we waiting for? Let's go." The toad could not wait. Lin Xian said, "No, it seems that the Qianquan palace is definitely extraordinary. It can attract the attention of the Misty Peak. At that time, other grotto heavens and experts will also come. Early Holy King, Middle Holy King, or even Late Holy King will appear. We have to make some preparations." Next, Lin Xian took action again to find the demonic shadow. He suppressed another Middle Holy King demonic shadow and 2 Early Holy King demonic shadows. In total, there were 6 demonic shadows. This was already the limit. Lin Xian wouldn't be able to control any more than that. Lin Xian felt that this was enough. Next, Lin Xian used his eye technique to determine the location with Elder Lu Qin's blood. They moved quickly. Along the way, they encountered many demonic shadows, but they were all avoided. The most important thing now was to find the Qianquan palace. After flying for about 5 days, they stopped. Without Lin Xian's special soul technique, they could know the location of the Qianquan palace. This was because the number of people around them had gradually increased. These people were actually in the same direction. They should be going to the Qianquan palace. Lin Xian followed these people and flew quickly in the air. Not long after, they saw a palace in front of them. Chapter 45:13. The Universal Palace wasn't big, and it was similar to other palaces. It was simple and had a mysterious aura. One didn't need to think to know that there was an independent space inside the Universal Palace. Lin Xian landed on a nearby mountain. There were already many people waiting patiently in the surroundings. There were also some who were rushing over and landing one after another. 3 days later, Lin Xian and the toad were shocked. There were more people than they had expected. It seemed like the Universal Palace was everyone's target. It was Fairy Xueqi. Another voice rang out. Everyone turned around and saw a beautiful figure with an ancient sword on her back descending from the sky. She had a boundless cold aura around her, and there were many people following her. They were Xueqi and the other experts of the 1,000-mountain paradise. They also landed on a mountain. After Xueqi landed, she looked around as if she was looking for someone. When she saw a red-robed man on a mountain in the distance, her eyes lit up. It seemed like the man was fine. She was relieved. "Husband, how are you?" Xueqi was expressionless, but she quickly transmitted her voice to him. Lin Xian simply told her that he was fine, and she didn't need to worry. Xueqi wasn't the only one who had come. Insu and Qin Xian also came. They followed Elder Tianyin. The arrival of the Green Hill Paradise also attracted a lot of attention. After all, they were all peerless fairies. The people of the 6 great paradises had come, the other ancient races, and the families of the ancient universe city had also come. What was more shocking was that the Misty Peak had also come. They had occupied the best mountain, and no one dared to approach them. However, there were some people who were whispering. "Did you hear? The Misty Peak seemed to have lost a genius." How was that possible? It seemed like his name was Bai Sangqiong. What? The genius ranked 20th by Sangqiong had died? Who did it? Was this a challenge to the Misty Peak? Many people cried out in alarm. They didn't know who it was, but they knew that the person who dared to do such a thing must have a shocking background. They didn't know who it was, but they knew that the person was terrifying. It seemed like even Elder Luchin had been injured and fled. All kinds of exclamations and discussions rang out. The people of the Misty Peak snorted coldly. One of them exuded an extremely cold, killing intent, suppressing the 9 heavens into silence. No one dared to say anything. At this moment, 2 teams flew over from afar. They were from White Cloud Grotto and Violet Spirit Grotto. What were they trying to do? Many people were paying attention. These people streaked across the sky and arrived at a nearby mountain peak. They surrounded a red-robed man. Lin Xian looked around. Had he been discovered? So what? With the 6 great demonic shadows in his hands, he was not afraid of these people. Moreover, he still had other trump cards. "You must be the one who did it." The strong cultivator from the Violet Spirit Grotto said coldly, "How dare you attack the people of the Violet Spirit Grotto? Now, no one can save you." The people of White Cloud Grotto also looked cold. "You have the aura of a disciple of our White Cloud Wonderland on your body. Since you dared to kill our people, you will definitely die today." What? This guy dares to offend 2 grotto heavens. Many people looked at Lin Xian in shock. Some of them narrowed their eyes. They seemed to have recognized Lin Xian's identity. Lin Xian looked at the 2 grotto heavens and sneered. "Do you have the right to come here? Who ordered you? Is it Lu Qin? Get her to come here herself. Elder Lu Qin. Isn't she an elder of the Misty Peak? This guy actually dares to call her by her name, and is so arrogant. Who is this kid? Kid, it's useless to say anything. Now, just accept your death." A figure clad in purple armor walked out. This man looked ordinary, but the aura on his body was unparalleled. He was like a peerless god of war that people looked up to. CG, it's actually him. He's one of the top geniuses of the Violet Spirit Grotto. His purple sky divine skill had been cultivated to a very high level. It was difficult for him to find a match in the initial stage of the Sage King realm. Even some of the older generation figures were not his match. To defeat him, one had to be at the middle stage of the Sage King realm. I didn't expect him to come. Is he going to do it himself? Kid, I'll make you wish you were dead later. Another figure walked out from the white cloud grotto. The two wings on his back were like two clouds, and his head was even more ferocious. By Tiggo, many people exclaimed. They weren't scolding the other party, but shocked. The other party was an expert of the Tiango clan and a top genius of the White Cloud Grotto. It was said that he had once killed two Sage Kings of the same level with a single slash. His strength was unimaginable. Lin Xian looked at the two people in front of him and smiled. Are you too sure you want to fight? Didn't Lu Qin tell you the truth when she asked you to come? Kid, I know you have some relationship with the Luo clan, but we're not afraid. You're dead this time. Lin Xian shook his head. Looks like Lu Qin really didn't tell them the truth. These two are indeed very strong. They're not weaker than Bai Sangqiong, but if they join forces, they'll definitely surpass Bai Sangqiong. But so what? Bai Sangqiong couldn't even block a single finger from me, let alone these two. I'll be able to kill them in 3 moves. Since you're courting death, then let's fight together. I don't want to waste time. Lin Xian waved his hand and said indifferently. The surrounding people went crazy. The two of them together? Does this guy know who he's facing? These two are top experts of the White Cloud Grotto. Their unparalleled existences in the early stage of the Sage King realm. If you want to kill them, you'll have to be a middle stage Sage King. But is this kid a middle stage Sage King? Why do I feel that he doesn't even have the aura of a Sage King? Countless people were shocked, thinking that Lin Xian had gone crazy. In the distance, Qin Xianer and Yin Su were nervous again. This guy is still as arrogant as before. Those who only knew about Lin Xian's background sighed in their hearts. These two are dead for sure. He killed Bai Sangqiong with a single move. He didn't even need 3 moves to kill these two. Of course, these people didn't dare to say anything. After all, offending Lin Xian would result in a terrible outcome. They wouldn't forget. Lin Xian knew how to control demonic shadows. CG and Bai Tiango were also angry. They sneered. Good boy. No wonder you dare to offend the people of the White Cloud Grotto. You want the two of us to fight together? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. After saying that, ZG waved his hand in the air. Endless purple aura condensed into a huge purple hand and descended from the sky. It carried the laws of the world and was abnormally terrifying. Even a sage of the same level wouldn't be able to block this palm. On the other side, Bai Tiango also made his move. With a wave of his hand, a white blade light descended from the sky like a bolt of lightning. Although the two of them didn't use their full strength, it was enough to destroy everything. They even had the confidence to fight against a middle-stage Sage King expert. Lin Xian snorted coldly and stretched out his palms. One of his palms slapped towards the huge purple hand, and the other towards the shocking blade light. Bai Tiango and Ziji sneered. Does he really dare to fight against two alone? Does he really think he's a god of war? They could already imagine the scene of the other party being torn apart. Chapter 45:14. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering collision sounded as the giant golden palm blocked the two attacks. Otherwise, their attacks would have been destroyed by this palm and turned into dazzling fireworks. How was this possible? He actually blocked it. Was he fighting 1 against 2? The two of them were shocked. The surrounding people were also dumbfounded. Isn't this guy too strong? Lin Xian didn't use any divine abilities and blocked the attacks of the two with just his physical strength. In the next moment, he took a step forward and attacked again. He clenched his left hand into a fist, and a resplendent sun swept in all directions, causing everyone to close their eyes. This punch was aimed at ZG. Boom. Blood spurted out, and ZG roared as his body was penetrated. There was an uproar below, and Baitigu was also stunned. Damn it! His pupils constricted, knowing that he had been careless. This was a very terrifying enemy that he had to resist with all his might. Heavenly Dog swallows the moon. He launched his strongest attack, which turned into a peerless sword light that could split the moon in half. Sword aura shot out from Lin Xian's palm, cutting down everything in its path and shattering that peerless blade light. How was this possible? Baitigu couldn't believe that ZG's full-powered attack was shattered just like that. Before he could react, another sword light struck him and sent him flying. In the blink of an eye, the two great experts of the Grotto Heaven were seriously injured. This was only the second move, and it was really unbelievable. At this moment, Lin Xian's third move came out. Endless death laws filled the air, and the death aura turned into arrows of death that pierced through the entire space. No, ZG and Baitigu roared crazily. Their broken bodies had just healed, and they didn't have time to escape, so they had to face such a terrifying death law. They used all their strength to resist, but they still turned into bones in an instant. The death aura disappeared, and Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, and two skeletons fell from the sky. Everyone was stunned. Was the battle over? Those were two experts of the Grotto Heaven, and they couldn't even block 3 moves from this person even after joining forces? Ants couldn't even withstand a single blow. The toad sneered at the side. The people of the Grotto Heaven had ugly expressions. Suddenly, an elder shouted angrily, "You're courting death." He was a middle-stage Saint King. Originally, he disdained to make a move, but now, it seemed that this was a trial for young people. But now, the prodigy was dead. He couldn't care less and attacked madly. With a single palm strike, heaven and earth shattered. It was much stronger than the combined attack of Bai Tiango and Bai Tiango. This was the power of a middle-stage Saint King. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, the void in front of him shattered, and a black palm slapped out. It collided with his opponent's palm. With a cracking sound, 10,000 bolts of lightning streaked across the sky. Everyone's chi and blood roiled, and they could not stand steadily. The heavenly passage's elder retreated, smashing through the void. Her face was pale, and her palm was trembling. There was actually a crack on it. Damn it, what was that? His face was full of shock. He was actually able to injure him. The surrounding people were also stunned. Even a middle-stage Saint King couldn't do anything to Yifuqian. What was that claw? Was it the opponent's trump card? How could this guy be so strong? Qin Xiener and the others were stunned, and even Xue Qi was stunned. What was that black claw? Why did it look like a demonic shadow? Lin Xian said, "You want to suppress me? Dream on. Let Lu Qin come out." Why, did he not dare to come out? The surrounding people were shocked. Did he chase after Elder Lu Qin? How was that possible? Suddenly, these people were stunned. Wait, they heard a legend. Could it be that it was him again? Someone killed by Sangqiong and injured Lu Qin. Was it really him? Kill. At this moment, an angry shout sounded. The sound that filled the sky turned into 81 notes that danced between heaven and earth. In an instant, they enveloped Lin Xian and wanted to kill him. Lin Xian shouted angrily, and his black palm slapped out to block them. In the sky, Elder Lu Qin's figure appeared. Her Guqin erupted again, wanting to attack. However, at this moment, a big hand came across the sky and broke heaven and earth. Below, the endless mountain range shattered, and everyone was shocked. Another expert came. Who was it? Lin Xian turned his head and looked. Lu Qin was also angry. Who dares to stop me? Between heaven and earth, a figure appeared in the sky. He was like an overlord, and with every step he took, the void would constantly split apart. At the same time, There was an extremely terrifying cold aura that made everyone's hair stand on end. Even Lu Qin's expression changed. Ming Chen. What? This person was Ming Chen. The experts in the surrounding grotto heavens were shocked, and even the elders sucked in a breath of cold air. Did he actually come here in person? This guy was ranked third on the ethereal list. He was also known as the first physique. He had the physique of the king of hell. This was the king physique of the ancient race, and it was extremely terrifying. Countless people were shocked. Such an expert was much stronger than Bai Sangqiong and Bai Tiango. Even the middle stage elders had grave expressions on their faces. Ming Chen walked over, emitting the aura of the king of hell. He said coldly, "Elder Lu Qin, let me deal with this person." He had a trump card that could control the demonic shadow. Lu Qin frowned. Ming Chen said, "A mere demonic shadow was nothing to be afraid of." With that, he waved his hand and took out 2 demonic shadows from his storage ring. Then he punched out. With a crack, the 2 demonic shadows were torn apart. They couldn't resist at all. So powerful. Is this the power of the king of hell? It's too terrifying, an older generation figure said. The king of hell was the essence of the ancient race's bloodline. When it matured, its potential was limitless. Perhaps only those legendary starry sky divine physiques could contend with it. However, this kid obviously didn't have it, so he would definitely die if he encountered the king of hell. "Kid, you're the one who killed Bai Sangqiong. Since you dared to kill someone on the ethereal list, I'll personally deal with you today." Ming Chen's voice was piercingly cold and filled with supreme confidence. He was ranked third on the list and was far from being comparable to Bai Sangqiong. He could kill Bai Sangqiong with a single palm strike. King of hell. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. "Interesting. You're worthy of me taking action." Lin Xian felt a powerful aura from the other party's physique. "To be honest, you're not even a sage king. You're not worthy of me taking action." "Buhan, since you were able to kill Bai Sangqiong, it means that you have the strength to fight those above your level. Since you're a genius, I'll make an exception and kill you personally." Everyone was in an uproar. This kid is dead for sure. That's for sure. The king of hell's physique was extremely famous. It was ranked third among the younger generation of the ethereal peak. No matter how strong this kid is, he won't be able to resist it. Indeed, since he was able to kill Bai Sangqiong, I think he has the strength to enter the top 10 of the ethereal list. However, no matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat Ming Chen. This kid is going to be in danger. Yin Su's face was solemn, while Qin Xianer's face was pale. Xueqi also clenched her fists. She had heard of the legend of the king of hell's physique for many years. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, it was indeed powerful. He wondered if Lin Xian would be able to withstand it. Chapter 45:15. She was not doubting Lin Xian. The 9-yang divine body was extremely powerful. Once it was fully unleashed, its power would be endless. However, Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the Saint Venerable level, while Ming Chen was already a Saint King. He had even become a Saint King long ago. At the early stage of the Saint King realm, he was an extremely terrifying existence. There was a gap of 2 major realms between them. If they really fought, Lin Xian would probably be at a disadvantage. However, Lin Xian did not think too much about it. He was indeed surprised to meet the immemorial imperial body. In this way, he would be able to completely let go of his hands and fight a great battle. The previous battles had not been enough for him. "I hope you won't disappoint me." Lin Xian took a step forward and a golden flame bloomed from his body. This guy's physique was so strong. Could it be that he was also a body tempering expert? The surrounding people quickly retreated. Only 2 figures were left in front of them. Lin Xian, who was like a golden god of war, and Ming Chen, who was incomparably cold, like the king of hell. Boom. He stretched out a big hand and slapped out. A black storm blew between heaven and earth, and the world trembled, destroying everything. Buzz. Lin Xian also slapped out with his palm, and the vast world was like the sun. The two palms collided in the sky, and the two forces tore everything apart. They were in a stalemate in the sky. So strong, he blocked it. The people from the grotto heavens went crazy. This was the immemorial imperial body, and Ming Chen's cultivation was at the early stage of the Saint King realm, 2 realms higher than his opponent. Now, the strength of the two sides was actually equal. Could it be that this kid's physique surpassed Ming Chen's? They did not dare to imagine. Ming Chen's face also became cold, and he no longer had the smile from before. No wonder your physique is so mysterious. It can actually compete with my King of Hell's body. I just don't know how many moves you can take. He was completely enraged now. After his palm landed, he kicked out. The King of Hell's law kept spinning, and the rotating power made the kick seem like a high-speed longsword, piercing through heaven and earth. As expected of the King of Hell's body, it could turn into a terrifying weapon to attack with a raise of its hand. Lin Xian roared, and the man-ruler seal slammed out with his hand, shattering the wildlands. As the kick was deflected, the surrounding void began to shatter. Meanwhile, the place where he stood was completely unaffected, a region of heaven and earth frozen. Boom. In the next moment, he charged out. The two of them fought fiercely. Everywhere they passed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Over 10,000 mountains collapsed. Wherever he passed, nothing could stop him. The physiques of these two people were really too strong. Countless people were shocked. An early-stage Saint King would probably not even be able to withstand a single punch from him. Those from the ethereal peak had ugly looks on their faces. There was actually someone who could compete with their first question. Who is this person? That's enough. I've run out of patience. I'll get rid of you now. Ming Chen snorted coldly. Now that he was really angry, he did not intend to hold back anymore. Hell King Scythe. A terrifying nether king aura emerged from his body, forming a sickle. The scythe was 100 meters tall, like a black mountain. It was held in his hand and slashed down. The entire world was split in half. Boom. Lin Xian struck out with the man-ruler seal again, pressing forward with indomitable will, shattering everything. Ming Chen retreated, his face pale. The Nether King's face. He formed a seal with both hands, and a black face appeared with a monstrous aura sweeping out. This power was too strong, and it was very cold. It was as if an ancient Nether King had been resurrected. Lin Xian shouted coldly, the mountain-embracing seal. Between heaven and earth, the primordial demon mountain was about to fall. At the same time, he struck out with the invincible sword. The mountain-embracing seal blocked the Nether King's vase. The invincible sword slashed at Ming Chen, sending him flying. A sword mark appeared on Ming Chen's body, and blood flowed out. It was black blood, and it was abnormally terrifying. Was he injured? Countless people exclaimed. The people from the ethereal peak went crazy. What kind of power could defeat the immemorial imperial body? How dare you hurt me? You're courting death. Ming Chen roared crazily, and the nether sea surged around him. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Terrifying sword intent appeared on his body, one after another. With an angry roar, the sword chi fell with an incomparable aura, as if it was indestructible. The inextinguishable sword. This sword illuminated heaven and earth and turned into eternity. The Nether King was furious. Another roar sounded, and he attacked crazily. The sky was filled with black aura. It was as if black clouds were pressing down on the city, and 2 black dragons charged out. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them dissipated between heaven and earth at the same time. Damn it! Ming Chen's expression was ugly. For the first time, he felt defeated. One had to know that he was ranked third in the ethereal peak, and his physique was even stronger. He was known as the first physique. There were only two people who could defeat him, but now there was someone who could compete with him and even hurt him. More importantly, the other party's cultivation was weaker than his. He couldn't stand it. You want to compete with me? You will die without a doubt. Ming Chen roared, but Lin Xian snorted coldly. My sword is indestructible and illuminates eternity with a roar. The sword chi that had dissipated suddenly emitted an incomparable light. It turned into a divine rainbow, becoming the only one in heaven and earth. At the same time, an extremely terrifying dragon roar sounded from above. Slash! Lin Xian roared angrily, and the power of the great dragon's sword, soul surged out with the indestructible will, slashing down from the sky. Boom! Ah! The world in front of him shattered and turned into nothingness. The earth split open, and tens of thousands of mountains collapsed, filling the air with dust. The surrounding people felt a chill in their hearts. If it were them, they wouldn't have been able to escape from the sword just now. They wondered how Ming Chen was doing. Could he block it? Everyone was extremely nervous, especially the people of Ethereal Peak. Black blood spilled between heaven and earth, and an arm fell from the sky. Ming Chen was injured. Countless people exclaimed. Ming Chen's body was stained with black blood, and one of his arms was missing. His face became extremely ferocious. He was injured. He had been severely injured by the attack just now. The surrounding people were dumbfounded, and the people of Ethereal Peak almost fainted from shock. They knew very well how terrifying the king of Hell Physique was. But at this moment, he was no match for the other party. Damn kid, how dare you hurt me? I will make you regret it. I will make you wish you were dead. Ming Chen roared crazily. Let me show you my true unique skill. God of Hell incantation. As he roared crazily, the black laws on his body quickly swept out. Between heaven and earth, countless black river sticks surged, and the entire place turned into hell. Was he going to use this unique skill? The people of Ethereal Peak were also shocked. Elder Lu Qin and the others also looked solemn. One had to know that only the top two people could make the other party use the God of Hell incantation. Now that the other party had used it, it meant that there were no other methods that could threaten him. Between heaven and earth, the black lightning condensed into an illusory figure that appeared behind him. He held the God of Hell's treasure bottle in his hand and looked extremely mysterious. Ming Chen's aura also increased greatly. His broken arm recovered again. His eyes were wide open, as if the God of Hell had come back to life. Chapter 45:16. The people in the surroundings were frightened, and they kept retreating. At the same time, in the distant void, countless blade lights condensed and slashed everything. A mysterious man descended. He carried a long blade on his back, and the blade while on his body was extremely terrifying. At this moment, he was looking down at the battle in the distance. He even used the god of underworld art. Has he already reached such a stage? It's really hard to imagine. However, when he thought about it, this battle should be over. Once he used the god of underworld art, that lad wouldn't be able to resist it. The peerless expert said calmly. Boom. Along with Ming Chen's movement, the god of underworld image that condensed behind him also walked out. The black bottle in his hand was aimed at Lin Xian, and a terrifying aura appeared and formed a black ball of light. It seemed as if it could destroy the world. This aura was really terrifying, and it could even threaten a middle-stage Saint King. Not good. Xue Qi's expression changed drastically. Its power was really too strong. Even her nining body could feel a great threat. Endless black frost appeared on his body, and it seemed as if it could freeze everything. She tried to resist this power. At the same time, she looked at Lin Xian, and her eyes were filled with worry. She didn't know whether Lin Xian could resist it. The toad's eyes also widened, and it secretly used the law. As long as the situation wasn't right, it would immediately take action. Is he going to risk his life? When Lin Xian sensed the terrifying aura and the god of underworld image in front of him, he took a deep breath. Since you have the Taigu imperial body, I will use my physique to deal with you. Lin Xian withdrew the sword energy that filled the sky, and at this moment, he fully activated the 9-yang divine body. His originally terrifying aura became even more terrifying. Flames swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and 9 suns appeared beside him. They kept rotating, and it seemed as if they wanted to illuminate everything. What a terrifying flame. This guy's physique seems to have become stronger again. Countless people were shocked. They felt their blood and chi go cold. Is he going to use his physique to deal with his opponent? Boom. Lin Xian took large strides and charged forward. With every step he took, the flames between heaven and earth kept roaring, and they turned into flaming lotuses that engulfed everything. The 9 suns around him shone brightly, and he was like a peerless sun war god. 9 suns' divine fist, splitting the heavens with a single punch. Boom, boom. Not good. Elder Lu Qin's expression changed. The people from the surrounding heavenly abodes also quickly retreated. Even the peerless swordsman who was watching the battle from afar narrowed his eyes. You want to fight me? Cultivate for another 10,000 years. Underworld god incantation. Kill. Netherworld roared madly. The underworld deity in front of him pushed out with both hands, and the bottle in his hand shot out a beam of black light. This was a destructive attack, and the other party would definitely not be able to block it. Crack! The black destructive light collided with Lin Xian's fist. An incomparable aura erupted from his body. Storms swept across the world as laws surged, as if they were about to destroy the entire world. The surrounding people all coughed up blood and were sent flying. It was so terrifying. Even the experts and elders were trying to defend themselves. Their expressions were solemn. If they allowed this guy to continue growing, once he reached the middle stage of the Saint King realm, no one would be able to suppress him. Boom. With everything over, Elder Lu Qin and the others heaved a sigh of relief. The others also shook their heads. No one could challenge the ethereal peak. However, at this moment, in the black storm, a golden flame suddenly lit up, and then it kept spreading. With a crack, the entire world was opened, as if the sun had just been born, shining on the world. The black storm and laws in the sky kept melting. The 9 suns shone on everything, and a fist pressed forward. It shattered the destructive light ball, and then charged over. What? He hasn't been defeated yet. Countless people roared. Buzz. Lin Xian forcefully shattered the other party's superpower and charged in front of him. Looking at the shocked faces, he punched out again. With a boom, the underworld deity's phantom was directly destroyed. Boom, boom. Then he waved his fist, and the 9 suns bloomed, turning into thousands of golden crows that pounced over. The front was instantly flooded. Billions of suns cracked, and the light made the surrounding people unable to open their eyes. After a long time, when the light weakened, they opened their eyes. How was the situation? Everyone looked carefully, and then they were stunned. The ground in front of them was shattered, and countless canyons were formed. A figure fell on the ground, and his body was covered in blood. Ming Chen, he was defeated, and he was seriously injured. Everyone could already see the other party's internal organs and bones. One could imagine how serious his injuries were. More importantly, they saw a figure descending from the sky. Lin Xian came to the ground. He was like a god of war. He took 3 steps and arrived in front of the other party. The immemorial imperial body was just SOSO. At the same time, he stepped on the other party's body with one foot. In terms of physique, he won. The world was incomparably silent, and the scene seemed to have frozen. Everyone looked at the scene in disbelief. That was the first body of the ethereal peak, the immemorial imperial body. How could he be defeated at this moment? This can't be real, right? I'm not dreaming, right? Yin Su and Qin Xianer were dumbfounded. Xue Qi's lips curled into a beautiful smile. Great, this guy's physique seems to have become stronger again. The toad also laughed proudly. Damn it, let him go. With a roar, the people of the ethereal peak rushed over, their bodies filled with murderous intent. Elder Lu Qing also walked over, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent, and a terrifying aura swept out. The toad instantly jumped over. What? You want to fight? Kid, kill him. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a trace of cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. A terrifying physique surged out. The 9 suns' divine fire swept out, enveloping Ming Chen. Ming Chen used the Nether River to resist, but he couldn't resist at all. He had the immemorial imperial body, but he was no match for the 9 suns' divine body. Not to mention, he was now seriously injured. In an instant, white smoke rose from his body, and it wouldn't be long before he turned into a pool of blood. How dare you? Lu Qin roared, and the sound of the great path exploded, charging toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and the void in front of him cracked open, and a hand shot out, blocking the great path's sound. At the same time, another elder of the ethereal peak walked out and said coldly, "All members of the paradise, listen up, kill this kid for me." The expressions of the people of the surrounding paradise changed, and they all stood out one after another. Not good. Xue Qi's expression changed. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he couldn't resist so many people. Qin Xianer and Yin Su were also very nervous. "Don't attack," she said to the people next to her. Xue Qi also ordered the people of the 1,000 Mountain Paradise not to attack. However, apart from them, there were also the experts of the other paradise and the people of the ethereal peak. At this moment, there were more than 100 people surrounding Lin Xian. Once a great battle broke out, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to resist it no matter how strong he was. Chapter 45:17. Buzz. A peerless blade light shot towards Lin Xian. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. Lin Xian roared, turned around, and struck out with his palm. The human sovereign seal appeared and slammed into the blade light, emitting an earth-shattering aura. His arm was numb from the impact. So strong. This person's strength is above dark stars. Lu Qin and the others exclaimed. "Tyranny, you're here too? Great, quickly save Dark Star." Tyranny? Could it be that he's the second-ranked tyranny of Misty Peak? He's known as the #1 blade. The top 3 of Misty Peak were extremely terrifying, simply unparalleled, and these 3 had their own unique characteristics, known as the #1 eye, the #1 blade, and the #1 body. The #1 body was Dark Star, the immemorial king body, the king of hell body. The #1 blade was even higher than his opponents. One could imagine how terrifying his blade technique was. As for the #1 Zhan Songxing, known as the #1 eye, he was even more terrifying. He cultivated a pair of mystical eye techniques. With a glance, no one could resist. At this moment, the #1 blade, Tyranny, arrived, shocking everyone. "Dark Star, you're really a piece of trash. You've disgraced Misty Peak." Tyranny descended from the sky. He stepped in the air like a peerless blade god. Dark Star was about to vomit blood. This guy still has the mood to make sarcastic remarks? He gritted his teeth and roared. "Don't say anything else. Let me out first. I owe you a favor. Kid, let him go." Tyranny looked at Lin Xian with an order in his eyes. Elder Lu Qin waved her hand. As long as she gave the order, the experts of the surrounding grotto heavens would attack crazily. At that time, the opponent would definitely die. Facing such a dangerous situation, Lin Xian was not afraid. He snorted and waved his hand. 6 demonic shadows appeared, surrounding him, emitting a monstrous aura. They roared towards the sky, shaking the 9 heavens. What is this? Damn it, it's the demonic shadows. What is this guy trying to do with them? Lu Qin exclaimed. Everyone be careful. This guy can control the demonic shadows. Hearing the elder's words, the surrounding people went crazy, controlling the demonic shadows. Who the hell is this guy? Release Ming Chen, and we won't do anything to you this time. Elder Lu Qin said coldly. She knew that the other party was incomparably arrogant. Previously, he had killed Bai Sangqiong under her threat. If he killed Ming Chen this time, they wouldn't be able to bear the loss. Tyranny's expression turned cold. Of the 6 demonic shadows, 2 of them gave off an aura that made his hair stand on end. Clearly, that was a mid-stage Saint King. If they really fought, it would be very easy for this kid to escape. Besides, who knew if this guy had more demonic shadows? The atmosphere froze for a moment. Although he was surrounded by hundreds of experts, Lin Xian was not afraid. On the other hand, Ethereal Peak dared not act rashly for fear of breaking the vases. The Snow Queen's lips curled into a smile when she saw this. Great. It seems like Lin Xian isn't in any danger. Boom, boom. Right at this moment, the Universal Palace in front of them suddenly emitted a vibrating sound, attracting everyone's attention. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ming Chen, who was being stepped on, roared. Ignoring the damage to his life, he split open his body and turned into countless underworld rivers, escaping in all directions. Wanna run? Lin Xian snorted and punched. Save me, quick. His voice rang out. Tyranny's sword slashed down and collided with Lin Xian's fist, creating a deafening sound. Lin Xian's fist was blocked. This is a good opportunity. Seeing that Ming Chen had escaped, Elder Lu Qing sneered. The surrounding people wanted to attack. Lin Xian snorted. The 6 demonic shadows roared towards the sky, releasing a terrifying aura. Even more roars came from the distance. Not good. There are more demonic shadows coming. This guy isn't going to summon an army of demonic shadows, is he? For a moment, everyone's scalp went numb. Tyranny also said, Elder Lu Qing, let this kid go first. We'll go to the Universal Temple first. Kid, you're lucky. We'll spare your life this time. If you meet us again, you'll definitely die. Tyranny looked at Lin Xian with killing intent. Then he turned around and left quickly with his people. Seeing that Misty Peak had left, the people in the surrounding grotto heavens naturally wouldn't attack. They also took a deep breath and led their own teams, preparing to explore the Universal Temple. Great! Qin Sienna, Xue Qi, and the others secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Toad also said, You scared me to death. I thought I'd have to run away again. Indeed, with so many experts fighting, they couldn't resist at all. They could only escape. However, if they wanted to escape, these people wouldn't be able to hurt them. Lin Xian snorted. I'll remember the first slash. Sooner or later, I'll step on you too. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. With a wave of his hand, he collected the 6 demonic shadows. Let's go to the Universal Temple. He turned into a ray of light and flew forward. In front of him, those people had already arrived at the Universal Temple. They wanted to enter, but they were pushed back by a force. Many people vomited blood, and some of them even had their bodies pierced. Damn it, there's a seal. We can't enter. Since we're already here, how can we retreat? Everyone, let's attack together. Some experts roared. They gathered several forces and attacked fiercely. Countless experts attacked together. This force was really too terrifying. Heaven and earth were shattered. However, the Universal Temple was safe and sound. Damn it, we can't break it. Can we only watch and not enter? The surrounding people gritted their teeth. What's going on? Toad also frowned. He said, Kid, should we use your key to open it? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He had just obtained a key from Luo Fifan, but he didn't know where it came from. However, it was said that it was related to the Universal Temple. He was thinking, should I use this key to open the Universal Temple? After all, the changes in the Universal Ancient City were caused by the key in his hand. However, those guys had just besieged him and wanted to attack him. Should he open it and let them in? He wasn't willing to. At this moment, a voice sounded. You guys step back. I'll do it. Everyone raised their heads. Who was it? What a big tone. Some people's eyes were cold. They couldn't open the seal, even with so many of them working together. Could the other party do it alone? They didn't believe it. Buzz. In the sky, a figure descended. At the same time, a huge pressure came. Everyone felt as if their souls were about to split open. They saw a pair of cold and emotionless eyes, as if the eyes of a demon god were looking down at them. What a terrifying eye technique. This person was an expert in eye techniques. Even Lin Xian was surprised. What a powerful eye technique. He used Tianji God, eye to block it. Toad also frowned. Damn. An expert came out. The people of Misty Peak laughed. They didn't expect Zhan Songxing to come. Zhan Songxing? Is it him? Ranked first on the Misty list, even above tyranny. He was the legendary #1 eye. The mysterious eye technique he cultivated was incomparably powerful. One glance could kill a saint. Now that they saw it, it was indeed extraordinary. Chapter 45:18. The first eye, Zhan Songxing, wore a Taoist robe, as if an immortal had descended. His face was handsome, and his black hair danced wildly. His eyes were even more bizarre than before. Everyone was stunned. They only knew that Zhan Songxing's eye technique was terrifying, but no one had truly seen his eyes before. Only a very small number of people had seen it. Now that they saw it, they were all stunned. Lin Xian was also stunned. White eyes. That's right, the other party's eyes didn't seem to have black pupils, only white. It was abnormally strange, making one's scalp tingle. What strange eyes! Lin Xian was surprised. Toad also exclaimed. This was spirit-extinguishing eyes. What were spirit-extinguishing eyes? Were they very powerful? Lin Xian asked. They were also the legendary eyes, incomparably magical. With a glance, they could destroy all life. With his current strength, he could destroy a world with just a glance. So powerful. Lin Xian was surprised. He remembered this name. As expected of Misty Peak, there were indeed many experts. First, there was the immemorial imperial body. Then there was the peerless swordsman. And now there was a terrifying eye technique. But he didn't know where this guy got the confidence to break the seal ahead. Relying on his eye technique, the others were also puzzled. Zhan Songxing was incomparably powerful, sweeping through everything. But no matter how strong he was, he couldn't be stronger than so many of them working together, right? If they couldn't do anything, what exactly did the other party rely on? Tyranny's elder Lu Qin walked over. Should they join forces? Zhan Songxing shook his head. No need, I have my own way. Saying so, he waved his hand. His storage ring flashed, and a bronze key appeared in his hand. What was this? Everyone was surprised. Lin Xian exclaimed. The other party also had a bronze key, and from the looks of it, it was different from the two he had obtained. Could this be the key to opening Heavenly Palace? This was? Elder Lu Qin was also surprised. Zhan Songxing said that without the key, you can't enter. So only I can open Heavenly Palace. Should they clear the place? Tyrannical ambition looked around with a biting, cold gaze. It seemed that they didn't plan to let anyone else enter. However, Zhang Songxing smiled. No need. Although I can open Heavenly Palace, no one knows what's inside. Wouldn't it be better to let these people scout the way for us? True. Tyranny smiled. Even if these people went in and found any treasures, they could take it away. Everything would belong to Misty Peak. Since they had made their decision, Elder Lu Qing and the others did not say anything else. They moved to the side and waited quietly. Zhang Songxing took a deep breath and looked forward with his pale eyes. Then he injected the law into the bronze key. The bronze key shone brightly and floated forward. With a cracking sound, it disappeared in front of him. The Universal Palace started to spin as the seal was broken. A desolate aura spread out from the Universal Palace in all directions. Songxing heavens. Songxing heavens. Behind him, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Since the other party had opened the Universal Palace, it meant that the key in his hand was to open another place. It was heavens. This is getting more and more interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it won't disappoint me. His eyes flashed. Then he followed the others and flew forward. The Grotto Heaven and ancient race experts couldn't wait any longer. As soon as the array formation was activated, they rushed in. Screams could be heard as soon as they entered. Some were turned into blood mist. Some were seriously injured and flew back. What happened? The surrounding people were all stunned. They didn't dare to move forward rashly. They were all bewildered. Stupid. Zhang Songxing stood in the air with his hands behind his back. Although he was the one who opened Heavenly Palace, he didn't move immediately. Elder Lu Qing smiled. It seemed that letting them in was the right choice. At least we know that not everyone can explore this place. The rest of us shouldn't have any problems. The other old man turned around and looked at the surroundings. Those from the ethereal peak who had come were all experts among experts. However, Tyranny frowned and looked at Darkstar. He said, "You're seriously injured. I think you should stay outside." "Damn it, you dare to look down on me?" Darkstar roared, his face cold. "I'm already recovering. I'm fine. I hope so." Tyranny said coldly, "Don't lose again. Don't embarrass Misty Peak." Darkstar didn't say anything. Losing to Lin Xian really made him lose face. However, Lin Xian's physique was definitely terrifying. It must be the legendary physique. He wasn't sure yet, but no matter what, she would take revenge. The other Grotto Heavens also began to discuss. Clearly, Heavenly Palace wasn't a place that anyone could enter. Those who were weak shouldn't go. Soon, the elders of Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven and White Cloud Grotto Heaven said, "We've already explored. Those below Holy King should stay outside. Those above Holy King, follow me." Yes, those people agreed. Some young geniuses looked gloomy. They were half-step Holy Kings. They were originally dazzling geniuses in the Grotto Heavens. After all, they were only 1,000 or 2,000 years old. Their future was limitless. However, in such a dangerous situation, no one cared if you were a young genius or an expert of the older generation. Everything was based on strength and cultivation. Many people stayed. They were unwilling, but they had no choice. The aura inside was enough to destroy them. As for the Holy Kings, they all prepared to move. Qin Xiener and Insu also stayed. On the other side, Xue Qi met up with the elders of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven and prepared to enter. At the same time, she transmitted her voice to Lin Xian, telling him to be careful. Lin Xian replied, "I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You should be careful." Then the Holy Kings of the Grotto Heavens started to enter, followed by the people of Misty Peak. After the people of Misty Peak entered, Lin Xian and the Toad also started to move. They also entered Heavenly Palace. When Lin Xian stepped into Heavenly Palace, he felt an extremely ancient aura sweeping toward him, as if it was going to penetrate his body. No wonder those people were injured before. This pressure was unbearable for those below Holy King. Although he was only a holy venerable, Lin Xian's physique was extremely strong. He snorted coldly, and the power of his divine body erupted, blocking the pressure. He turned his head and found that the toad beside him had disappeared. Did it contain the law of space? It seemed that these people weren't necessarily together. He didn't need to worry about the toad. The toad was knowledgeable and had its own means. It was absolutely safe. Let's see what was so magical about this place first. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from ahead. Lin Xian was very alert. Someone is coming. Who is it? Chapter 45:19. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden radiance that penetrated the surrounding fog. In the next moment, he was taken aback. It was Xue Qi. He saw a peerless woman walking toward him with an ancient sword on her back. After Xue Qi walked over, she looked at Lin Xian and smiled. She sped up and came to Lin Xian's side. She then opened her arms. Lin Xian also smiled. However, in the next moment, his pupils contracted. He felt a great power collide with his body and send him flying. His battle robe was torn apart, and there was a mark on his divine body. Did you attack me? Lin Xian was infuriated. In the next moment, his pupils contracted. You aren't Xue Qi. His eyes emitted a terrifying radiance, and Lin Xian shot out a beam of sword energy toward his opponent. The sword energy was peerless, and it carried a dragon's roar as it hacked his opponent into two halves. Xue Qi's illusory image turned into a dense fog and dissipated. Illusion techniques are so powerful that they even managed to deceive me. Lin Xian was startled, as expected of something created by a great emperor. Even though he possessed the heavenly secret divine eyes, he was still affected by it. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless, and he used the heavenly secret divine eyes with his full power as he walked forward. The fog in front of him became thicker, and after he walked for a while, the fog started becoming thinner. Moreover, he also heard sounds. They weren't sounds of fighting, but sounds of laughter and talking. Lin Xian was startled. There are so many people here. What's going on? He sped up. In the next instant, he passed through the fog. The sun rose in the surroundings, and its radiance shone in all directions. Lin Xian discovered that he had come to a small town. Where is this? Lin Xian was startled. Although the sun was high in the sky, his whole body felt ice cold. He shouldn't have left the Universal Palace, as he didn't sense any spatial power. This meant that he was still in the Universal Palace. However, the changes in his surroundings, as well as Xue Qi's phantom, caused Lin Xian to take a deep breath. This is also an illusion technique. Did I just walk into a giant illusion technique? He pushed his heavenly secret god eyes to the extreme, and golden light shone in all directions. However, he couldn't tell at all. It was as if this was a real world. What kind of method was this? If this was the real world, this would be acceptable. If it was an illusion, Lin Xian didn't dare to imagine it. How powerful was the person who created this illusion? It was definitely not a sage king. It was at least a great sage. It might even have been created by the heaven and earth emperor. In the small town ahead, some youths looked in the direction of Lin Xian and discussed among themselves. Lin Xian walked over and asked, "Where is this place?" The eyes of those youths suddenly shone with a shocking light, and they stabbed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was shocked. What a terrifying eye technique. Were these youths really that terrifying? Golden light appeared in his eyes, blocking the eye technique of his opponent. In the next moment, his face sank and a terrifying law was used. The expressions of the youths changed, and they all ran away, even throwing their kites to the ground. Not long after, a middle-aged man walked over. The The middle-aged man took a step forward with a majestic gait and arrived in front of Lin Xian. Why did Tianlin come so late? Come back with me. Have you finished your mission? After saying that, he grabbed Lin Xian's arm, and an extremely cold light bloomed in his eyes. It was actually a golden rune. Lin Xian felt that his soul was about to be controlled, and his memories were about to be changed. It was as if he was about to become the heavenly forest that the other party spoke of. In the next moment, the power of the heavenly secret god eyes erupted, and a golden light appeared in his eyes, blocking the other party. He snorted coldly, and his divine body shook, blasting the other party's hand away. The middle-aged man's expression changed drastically, and his pupils constricted. In the next moment, he smiled. Sorry, I got the wrong person. I thought you were a disciple of the Heavenly Secret Clan. May I know who you are? The Heavenly Secret Clan. Lin Xian was stunned. You're from the Heavenly Secret Clan? He was really too shocked. One had to know that his eyes were the Heavenly Secret God eyes, and it was given to him by the Heavenly Secret Clan. He didn't expect to see someone from the Heavenly Secret Clan. Was this really an illusion, or had he come to a strange world? Lin Xian felt that he couldn't tell. Moreover, the people here were very strange. Previously, this person had clearly wanted to control his soul. If he didn't have the Heavenly Secret God eyes, his memories would have been changed. Perhaps he would stay here for the rest of his life. Apart from him, did anyone else come in? If the others didn't have powerful eye techniques, would they be able to resist? He wondered how Xueqi was doing. He was a little worried. At this moment, the middle-aged man in front of him asked again. Lin Xian came back to his senses and said, Yes, that's right. I'm from the outside world. Is this where the Heavenly Secret Clan lives? The middle-aged man nodded. That's right. This is where the Heavenly Secret Clan lives. Very few outsiders can come here. I didn't expect you to come. It's fate that you're here. You can walk around by yourself. Don't hurt anyone from the Heavenly Secret Clan. The middle-aged man left, and Lin Xian started to walk around. He discovered that the town was bigger than he had imagined, and there were even other cities outside of the town. On the other side, after Xueqi came in, she walked with the others. She passed through the fog alone and came to the front. She also found a town. The people in the town berated her and called her Tianqi. Their eyes shone with a golden radiance. She felt that the piercing pain in her soul had become Tianqi. She followed them. But later, the 9 Yin body erupted with terrifying ice, which made her come back to her senses. She was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. She quickly retreated and distanced herself from these people. Damn it, what's going on? How did my memory get changed by the other party? It's too terrifying. What is this place? This town is too strange. It wasn't just her. All the people who were shrouded in the fog saw a strange town after passing through the fog. In the next moment, they were all affected by eye techniques, and their memories were changed. They became members of the Heavenly Secret Clan and lived here. They forgot their true identities and their past. Even the elders of the Heavenly Secret Clans were lost. Only a few people were exceptions. Only then could they escape. For example, they had a peerless bloodline, an extremely powerful body, or an extremely terrifying eye technique and soul. For example, Xueqi, Mingchen, tyrannical ambition, Zhan Songsheng, Elder Lu Qing, and others. They either had an extremely powerful bloodline or a strange soul. These people weren't controlled, but even so, they were still very careful. Zhan Songsheng's eyes shone with a terrifying radiance. In the fog, he encountered 2 people from the Heavenly Secret Clans. He snorted coldly. The 2 people from the Heavenly Secret Clans wanted to escape, but their bodies were shattered and turned into nothingness. Even in death, the 2 of them didn't believe that their opponent could kill them instantly. Chapter 45:20. Zhang Songsheng also saw the town and felt the strange light in the other party's eyes. His pupils shrank. Could this be the legendary Tianji eyes? He didn't expect to encounter it. He was too shocked. If he were able to learn the secrets of the heavenly fortune eye technique here, he would be able to further evolve his soul-extinguishing eye technique. He was too shocked. He began to frantically search the town for the secret to the evolution of his eyes. On the other side, Lin Xian was also walking in the town. He felt that everything around him was mysterious. He realized that there were really people from the Divine Eye tribe here. Their eyes were very strange. Of course, not everyone had a golden light. Moreover, even if they had activated their Divine Eye, the golden runes in their eyes varied in strength. Young man, you can't go any further. You can't enter that place. An old man kindly reminded him. Lin Xian turned his head and saw that the old man had white hair and a sage-like demeanor. However, his eyes were ordinary, just like a normal person's. There was no shocking light that surprised him. This old man didn't activate his Divine Eye. Senior, what's up ahead? It's called the Divine Eye Pavilion. It used to be the place where the Divine Eye tribe cultivated. However, that place has been sealed, and no one can enter. The old man shook his head and left. The Divine Eye Pavilion? Lin Xian was shocked. A place to cultivate. He decided to take a look. He found that there was a seal there that prevented him from entering. However, the aura on it surprised him. He took out the bronze key. The second bronze key he obtained was used to open the Divine Eye Pavilion. At the same time, Ming Chen, Tyrant Sky, Elder Lu Qin, and Zhang Songsheng were also investigating whether there was a place to cultivate. They also received news about the Divine Eye Pavilion. Was it a sealed cultivation ground? They all rushed over. Apart from Misty Peak, there were also a few experts from the other Grotto Heavens and Ancient Race experts who weren't controlled. They rushed over and saw a red-robed man standing there with his back to them. It's that kid. Ming Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. Tyranny and Lu Qin's expressions also changed. It's him. He's here too. He wasn't being controlled. Great. Now is the best time to kill him. These people increased their speed. Lin Xian used the bronze key when he heard the sound of something tearing through the air behind him. With a click, he opened the seal and walked in. He also took the bronze key with him. He went in. He, too, had a bronze key. Everyone exclaimed. Zhang Songsheng's eyes shone with a cold light. Stop. He had a bronze key, so he naturally knew that it was impossible to open this place without it. Therefore, he had to take advantage of the time when the seal was closed to enter or leave the key in the other party's hand. In his eyes, the eye of extermination emitted the light of extermination, destroying everything. However, he was still a step too late. The seal in front of him was restored, and Lin Xian's figure disappeared. Damn it! When the spirit extermination light collided with the seal, it caused a shocking tremor. The light was reflected back, scaring the surrounding people into dodging. Damn it! After Zhang Songsheng arrived, he slammed his palm onto the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion. However, it was to no avail. Was there no other way? Tyranny, Dark Star, and the others frowned. The other powerhouses from the Grotto Heavens and the Ancient Race walked over, their faces similarly cold. They looked forward and said, "Young Master Zhang Song, let's join hands." These people joined hands and unleashed terrifying attacks. Whether it was the law of divine abilities or soul attacks, they tried everything, but they still couldn't open it. Damn it, there must be a secret of the Heaven's Secrets race inside. There might even be an inheritance of the Heaven's Secrets race. These people's eyes turned red. Good brat, you dare to snatch the treasure in front of me. I want to see if you can take the treasure away when you come out. Zhang Songsheng's eyes were filled with killing intent. He stood there silently, waiting for Lin Xian to come out so that he could capture him and collect his soul. The others were also waiting. How could they miss such a good opportunity? Even if they had to wait 100 years, they would still wait. As for the others who came in, let alone finding the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion, they even lost their own identities. They had become disciples of the Heaven's Secrets race and would live here forever. On the other side, after Lin Xian entered, he discovered that the interior of the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion was incomparably bright, and there were many passages around it. Moreover, there were figures on every floor. These people were very blurry, and they were all cultivating in secret rooms. There were actually people here? Was this an illusion? He didn't know. He continued to walk towards the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion, which had a total of 7 floors. He arrived at the 6th floor and discovered that there was an empty cultivation room on the 6th floor. He walked in. When he entered, he felt that the secret room was sealed. Lin Xian didn't pay any attention to him. Instead, he looked around the secret chamber curiously. He realized that there were many diagrams inside, all of which were ancient stone carvings. There were all sorts of strange Dao runes drawn on them, and there was even a pair of magical eyes that dazzled him. Looking at them would cause his soul to hurt, as if it was about to split open. Lin Xian was overjoyed. This was the cultivation of eye techniques. These diagrams could cultivate the soul and strengthen the eye techniques. Great, he had come to the right place. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He didn't pay attention to anything else. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend and cultivate. There were a total of 12 diagrams in front of him. The Heaven's Secrets 12 diagrams. Lin Xian began to comprehend with all his might. In his golden pupils, all sorts of Dao runes intertwined, forming mysterious and strange runes one after another. Some of these runes were attacks, some were illusions, and some could control the soul of others with just a glance. They could even modify the soul memories of others. It was really mysterious, and it opened a new door for Lin Xian. Lin Xian seemed to have forgotten about time and everything as he comprehended here. After some time, he felt that his eyes were so painful that they were about to bleed. Only then did he look away, stand up, and move his body. He was about to go out and see what was in the other secret rooms. However, he found that he couldn't get out at all. This secret room had formed another seal. It had extremely strong soul power, and Lin Xian couldn't break it. Damn it, could it be that there was a key? He took out the bronze key and found that it couldn't be open at all. Of these 2 keys, one was to open the Qinquan ancient city. The other was to open the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion. However, there was no secret room at all. Could it be that there were other keys? Lin Xian frowned. Other than him, there was another person who had a bronze key, and that was Zhan Songxing. However, his bronze key was to open the Qinquan Palace. He had never seen anyone open a secret cultivation room. What was going on? Could it be that, after entering, there was no way out? Chapter 45:21. No, it's impossible to be trapped here. Lin Xian looked at it carefully. The soul on the seal was extremely powerful, and he was very familiar with it. He discovered that the seal was formed by the fusion of the 12 mysterious heavenly diagrams. Could it be that he could only leave after he comprehended all 12 mysterious heavenly diagrams? He took a deep breath and sat back down cross-legged. He took out a treasure that could restore one's soul and ate it to recover. In the next moment, he started comprehending the 12 mysterious heavenly diagrams with all his might. In the small town, the autumn wind blew, and the leaves fell. Winter arrived. Snow fell, and then melted. Another summer arrived. The cycle of spring and autumn had been repeated many times. Ming Chen walked over in front of the mysterious heavenly pavilion and said with gritted teeth, 100 years had passed. Damn it, this time passed by too quickly. Zhan Songxing was still standing in front of him. He said coldly, if I'm not wrong, Everything we see is an illusion. The flow of time here is different from the outside world. It might pass in the blink of an eye. 100 years here might only pass in the outside world in a second. So we can continue to wait. Hearing that, some people heaved a sigh of relief. If that was the case, they could afford to wait. Otherwise, it would be a huge waste for them to wait for 100 years in vain. However, at this moment, an old man said coldly, "The flow of time here is indeed different, but it's also possible that 100 years here is equivalent to 1,000 years outside. We don't know the exact ratio. I don't intend to wait any longer." After saying that, he prepared to leave the small town and return to reality. In the blink of an eye, another 100 years had passed. In the past 100 years, many people had died in the small town. The cycle of life and death had begun. Those whose memories had been changed seemed to have lost their monstrous magic power. Some people died and were buried by others, turning into a pile of bones. Some people were old and seemed to have one foot in the grave. Xueqi looked at this scene with a grave expression. Some of them were from the Thousand Mountain Cave. Before coming here, they had fought side by side with her. However, they had turned into white-haired old men. Some of them had even turned into bones. She had tried to find a few companions and tried to wake them up. However, she found that it was useless. The nine-in body could only guarantee that she would not be controlled, but it could not save anyone else. Xueqi frowned as she wondered how Lin Xian was doing. Naturally, she also saw the Divine Mysteries Pavilion and the people standing there. However, she did not go over. Instead, he hid far away. However, it was fortunate that those people were guarding the place and didn't investigate it. Otherwise, those people would have noticed Xueqi. Inside the Divine Secrets Pavilion, in the secret chamber, Lin Xian opened his eyes. Mysterious runes were flickering in his eyes. Success. He stood up, and the golden radiance in his eyes seemed to be able to pierce through heaven and earth. The 12 mysterious heavenly maps in front of him slowly disappeared, as if they were never there. Lin Xian turned around and faced the powerful soul seal. His eyes glowed with a golden light. The heavenly fortune 12 patterns floated rapidly in his eyes and merged with the seal. With a cracking sound, a crack appeared on the seal. The seal slowly opened, revealing a passageway. He had finally succeeded. Lin Xian was overjoyed as he walked out of the passageway. After he opened the secret chamber's seal, the seals in the other secret chambers also reacted and opened one after another. Lin Xian was startled, and he went to look at the other secret chambers. However, he discovered that they were empty. Moreover, most of the people in those secret chambers had already turned into skeletons. Only a few people managed to escape. These people were also emaciated, as if they were made of bones. After they appeared, their gazes were like lightning as they stared at Lin Xian. Their eyes were filled with vigilance and a terrifying aura. They are so terrifying. They are surely not from the younger generation. Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy. His eyes glowed with a terrifying golden radiance, and it seemed as if they had turned into 2 divine lamps to warn these people. 3 people came out of the secret chamber. Their hair was disheveled, and they were all staring at Lin Xian. They quickly searched the other secret chambers, and they discovered that those people had already turned into skeletons. Then they all roared at the sky. "Hateful! Ah, I have finally come out. Damn it, they are all dead. How many years have passed?" Ah, the 3 people roared at the sky. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion shook, and a terrifying aura filled the air. Lin Xian was shocked. These 3 people were too terrifying. Late-stage Saint King? Or had they already reached the great Saint tier? Also, how long had these 3 people been trapped for? Were these skeletons from the same time as these 3 people? So many powerful saints had already turned into skeletons. It must have been thousands of years. These three people were still alive. When I came, I was still a young prodigy, but now I don't even have much lifespan left. How many years has it been? A gray-haired figure looked up at the sky and sighed. Tears flowed out of his eyes. A young prodigy had turned into a living fossil. Lin Xian could not believe it. This was more than 5,000 years, right? The eyes of the other two people also burst with a piercing light. They stared at Lin Xian. Who are you, kid? When did you come in? We didn't seem to have seen you last time. Last time, there were more than 30 people here, and they all knew each other. They did not see each other. Lin Xian said, I came in later, and I don't know how long I've been here. It's normal that you don't know me. Has the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion opened again? You can actually walk out of the secret chamber. They were really too shocked. Which side are you from? Their eyes were filled with shock. They were all soul eye technique experts, but they were still trapped in there and could not come out. They did not expect a young man to do it. There must be a secret on him. Lin Xian was also facing a great enemy. Were these two old guys targeting him? As soon as they came out, he snorted coldly, flipped his palm, and took out the Xiantian token. I'm from the Xiantian Pavilion. The Xiantian Pavilion? The three of them were stunned, and the eyes of the two white-haired figures shone. The Xiantian Pavilion really surprised me. They walked towards Lin Xian. The third figure, the one with gray hair, took a step forward and said, What? You two want to fight here? Kill each other? Who knows how many years have passed? Let's go out first. The two of them looked at each other and nodded. They were not in a hurry. They should go out first. Seeing the two of them walking forward, the gray-haired man looked at Lin Xian and said, Be careful. Lin Xian nodded. Thank you for the reminder. Then he also walked forward. Kid, how did you get in? Do you have a key? Lin Xian took it out and used the bronze key to open the seal. This time, the bronze key disappeared. It seemed that he would not be able to enter here again. However, he did not regret it. He had already cultivated the 12 maps of heavenly secrets, and there was nothing to miss here. However, the situation outside worried him. Chapter 45:22. What happened to Xueqi and the others? Was this really the Heaven's Legacy tribe? Was all of this a fantasy, or was it real? With such thoughts in mind, the seal in front of him began to rumble as it slowly opened. Outside the Heaven's Legacy Pavilion, Zhan Songxing and the others stood there, waiting. At that moment, the number of people beside him had already decreased by half. The others had already given up. Only a portion of people were still waiting there. They decided to wait for 100 years. If no one came out after 100 years, they would give up. On this day, he discovered that the seal in front of him had finally changed. That's great. The person inside had come out. The surrounding people were overjoyed. Their 200 years of waiting had not been in vain. That kid was finally coming out. They could take revenge. Ming Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. Zhan Songxing snorted coldly. He would capture him and take his soul. No matter what inheritance he obtained inside, it would be his. The moment the seal was broken, Zhan Songxing moved. The light of destruction shot out. On the other side, Ming Chen roared and slammed his palm into the seal. With a loud boom, an earth-shattering sound rang out. Immediately after, two figures retreated. They were Zhan Songxing and Ming Chen. Their faces were pale as they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies were shattered. What happened? Lu Qin and the other elders' expressions changed. Had that kid become so terrifying? He had defeated two top experts by himself? Tyranny's expression was grave. But in the next moment, they were all stunned. They discovered that the first to walk out was not Lin Xian, but two elders, two white-haired old men. Their bodies were shriveled, but the auras on their bodies were extremely terrifying, especially their eyes, which were like bright lights that could see through everything. Earlier, Zhang Songsheng and Ming Chen had been injured by them. "How dare you plot against us here? Do you not know your place?" One of the elders said coldly. His eyes suddenly emitted a terrifying starlight, as if it was going to sweep through everything. Not good. This was an extremely terrifying expert. How could there be someone inside? The surrounding people were all going crazy. Elder Lu Qin hurriedly stepped out. "Senior, we have no ill intentions. We didn't know it was you inside. We are all from the Ethereal Peak. For the sake of the Ethereal Peak, please let us off." "Humph! People from Ethereal Peak. Do you dare to be arrogant in front of me?" A figure snorted coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. They had been trapped for thousands of years and were already very angry. Now that they were attacked, as soon as they came out, how could they not be angry? The two figures walked over with killing intent. "Use your blood to atone for your sins." Boom! An old man made a move. His terrifying aura was vast and mighty. The pupils of the surrounding people shrank, and their faces turned ugly. "Retreat quickly." They frantically retreated, but they were still beaten to the point of vomiting blood. The other old man waved his hand, and a huge black flag appeared in his hand. Countless souls flew out from it and swept out in all directions. The two of them did not use eye techniques, but their souls were incomparably terrifying. Eye techniques were only one type of soul attacks. There were millions of other types of soul attacks. For example, the sound and the black flag. It was too scary. Even though the people of the Ethereal Peak were strong and were above the paradise, they were still no match for these two elderly men. They were forced to retreat bit by bit. "Go! Go quickly!" The elders roared crazily. Zhang Songsheng roared and unleashed his light of annihilation. However, he was unable to block it. There was no choice. The other party was way too strong. Their cultivation states were way higher than theirs. No matter how strong his extinguishing spirit eyes were, it was not enough. The people of the Ethereal Peak retreated quickly. At the same time, they called for reinforcements from the paradise. When the powerful beings of the paradise rushed over, they were dumbfounded. To think that there were people who could chase after the Ethereal Peak. Just who were they? When they found out that the two old monsters who came out of the Heaven's Secrets Pavilion were, they were so scared that their hairs stood up. How many years ago were these old monsters? Their strength had reached a heaven-defying state. They had to leave this town. However, it was impossible for them to leave this place in a short period of time. They could only shuttle around and escape continuously. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. These people of the Ethereal Peak were truly courting death. However, they deserved it. Who asked the other party to strike? He guessed that the other party must have wanted to capture him. However, he did not expect that there would be others other than him inside. Outside the Heaven and Earth Palace, countless people were waiting. They did not know what was going on inside. There were sounds of fighting everywhere in the Qianquan ancient city. Some people were fighting with the demonic shadow, while others were rushing towards the Qianquan palace. There were even some people who wanted to settle their previous grudges. At the same time, many people were rushing towards the Qianquan ancient city to look for opportunities. In the sky, a stream of light flashed across, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. A powerful aura suppressed all directions. Wherever it passed, mountains and rivers would shatter, and everything would bow down. A terrifying and vast aura spread out in all directions. Thousand Mountain Paradise. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor and Black Ice old ancestor opened their eyes. They felt that the great Tao was dancing between heaven and earth. It was like thousands of lightning bolts that shook the world. What a terrifying great Tao aura. It was a supreme sage, and it was a peak supreme sage. The two of them were really shocked. Although they were supreme sages, they were only in the early stages of the supreme sage realm. They could not be compared to a peak supreme sage. It was like one was on the ground, and the other was in the sky. At this moment, the two of them were facing a formidable enemy. Such a terrifying existence had appeared here. Who was it? Was it an existence of the ethereal peak? But it should not be. Even if the ethereal peak had such an existence, it should be in a deep sleep. It would not appear unless it was a matter of life and death. They did not know. In fact, it was not only the Thousand Mountain Paradise, the Flying Feather Paradise, Xiling Paradise, Qingqiu Paradise, and the other 6 paradise were all alarmed. All of them looked solemn. They didn't even dare to investigate. They just kept guessing. What kind of saint was this? Ethereal Peak, the sacred land of martial arts. At this moment, in the core area of the ethereal peak, a few figures suddenly opened their eyes. Then they tore through the void and came to the sky. Did you feel it? An old man asked. Another middle-aged man nodded. What a powerful great Tao order. It was a peak existence, reporting to the old ancestor. I wonder why such a person has come here. The other great saints nodded in agreement. They could not make the decision at all. They could only come to the more mysterious cave. The supreme sages said respectfully, Old ancestor, there is a mysterious peak, supreme sage in the sky. I wonder if he is here to target the ethereal peak. Old ancestor, please make a decision. There was a cave in front. It was majestic and simple. It was completely silent inside. After about the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a voice came from inside. A peak supreme sage is just a clone. He is not targeting the ethereal peak. After that, there was no more sound from inside. Chapter 45:23. The few great sages outside heaved a sigh of relief after hearing that. Fortunately, it was not targeted at them. However, when they heard that it was a clone, they still felt chills down their spines. How could a clone be so powerful? This was the power of the pinnacle. And from the looks of it, this great sage at the pinnacle was very strong and vigorous, unlike their old ancestor who could only go into seclusion to prolong his life. If such a person were to descend, he would definitely be able to sweep through everything. The figure in the sky was shrouded by thousands of rays of light, as if he was born. Everywhere he passed, everything would bow down. Not long after, he arrived above Qianquan Ancient City. The people in Qianquan Ancient City were still fighting for the treasures. However, when they felt the vast aura coming from above the 9 heavens, they stopped. They all stopped what they were doing and raised their heads to look in horror. What was that? An immortal had appeared. The pupils of some of the older experts constricted. A great sage. And it was an extremely terrifying great sage. Was such a person going to descend here? Could it be that some heaven-defying treasure had appeared in Qianquan Ancient City? That peerless expert did not say anything. He stood above the 9 heavens and reached down with a huge hand. Heaven and earth collapsed, and the void was torn apart. Qianquan Ancient City was shaking nonstop. Everyone in Qianquan Ancient City was prostrating on the ground. Qianquan Palace. Many people around were waiting patiently. However, in an instant, the void above split open. A huge hand grabbed over. Who was it? They all shouted angrily. Boom, boom, boom. As the huge hand fell, many people turned into a bloody mist. The young disciples fled frantically. It was too terrifying. A single palm strike was enough to annihilate all of them. This attack went straight to Qianquan Palace. In a mysterious town, The two experts who came out of Divine Secrets Pavilion were still chasing after the people of Ethereal Peak. The people of Ethereal Peak were about to break down. They had gathered the experts of the Grotto Heavens for a final defense, but it seemed like they could not hold on any longer. Could it be that they were going to die here again? These people had despair in their eyes. Until now, they still did not know who the enemy was. Damn it, it was all that detestable brat's fault. When they thought of Lin Xian, they gritted their teeth in anger. If not for him, how could they be guarding Divine Secrets Pavilion? How could he possibly make a move and offend these two terrifying experts? Right now, Ethereal Peak had already lost two elders. Even Zhan Songxing and the others were injured. In front of them, the two experts sneered. Now, all of you can go to hell. Their soul auras erupted once again, suppressing everything. However, at this moment, the void above the heaven and earth great formation cracked open. A huge hand slapped down, enveloping the entire town. Boom, boom, boom. Before the palm could land, the terrifying Great Tao laws had already descended, tearing everything apart. Not good. The pupils of the two peerless experts shrank as they quickly fled. The faces of the people of Ethereal Peak changed drastically as they fled one after another. The strike landed. The entire town was destroyed, and the Heaven's legacy race people inside were roaring and dying. They turned into smoke and disappeared between heaven and earth. Those people whose memories had been altered and their souls controlled by the Heaven's legacy race suddenly woke up. Damn it, what happened? Why can't I remember anything? Why am I kneeling here? Damn it, who buried me? These people roared crazily. They seemed to have experienced a lifetime. Thinking of this, they broke out in cold sweat. They had been hit by an illusion, and it was an illusion that they could not resist. If not for this palm, they would have been buried here for the rest of their lives. On the other side, Xue Qi frowned and quickly retreated. Lin Xian's face also changed drastically. Who was this attack? It was too terrifying. He did not dare to resist. He used the void escape technique and quickly dodged. Under this strike, the Heaven's legacy race was shattered. The people of Ethereal Peak vomited blood and retreated, their injuries even more serious. Who was it? The people of Ethereal Peak gritted their teeth. Even the two peerless experts looked up at the sky, their brows tightly knitted. What Heaven's legacy race? It had long been destroyed. A mere illusion had no need to exist in this world. A cold voice sounded. Above the 9 heavens, an illusory figure appeared, surrounded by laws. It was as if a heavenly emperor had descended. How terrifying! This was a great saint, and a peak great saint. Those people were terrified. Who could resist the arrival of such an existence? Lin Xian also looked as if he was facing a great enemy. Why would a peak great saint come here? Where did this existence come from? In the sky, the figure sent out another palm strike. The small town that was originally in ruins was now torn into pieces and turned into dust. The people of Heaven's legacy race from before had all disappeared. Only Lin Xian and the others were still around. Of course, there was another person, an old man. The old man had the demeanor of a transcendent being, and his hair was white. He walked over. As his footsteps landed, the shattered town appeared again. Who was this person? Many people were puzzled. The experts of Ethereal Peak frowned. Zhan Songxing also said that he had seen this person before. Was he not hallucinating? Lin Xian was also surprised. This old man was the one who had told him about the existence of the Heaven's Legacy Pavilion. Back then, he felt that this old man was very strange, and his aura was very strange. However, he did not think too much about it at that time. Now, it seemed that this old man was indeed extraordinary. I didn't expect you to be able to find this place. The transcendent old man looked up at the sky and said coldly, "You're just a clone, and you want to come here? Don't you think that's a little arrogant? An illusion is enough to deal with you." The clone in the sky sneered. Boundless radiance radiated from his body and descended, bringing with it an extremely terrifying power. Everyone felt their bodies go cold. It seemed that they could not resist this palm at all, and even escape was impossible. Fortunately, this palm was not aimed at them. Moreover, the transcendent old man also made his move. Suddenly, a terrifying golden light burst out from his eyes, piercing through the world. It was like a sword piercing through the clouds. Boom, 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 boom. The two collided, tearing apart the 9 heavens. The terrifying aura made everyone retreat. It was too terrifying. Zhang Songsheng roared, "Heaven's legacy eye!" This was the true Heaven's legacy eye. Was this old man from the Heaven's legacy race? Lin Xian was even more shocked. He could naturally feel a familiar aura. This person was really from the Heaven's legacy race. Moreover, the other party's eye technique was much more powerful than his. What kind of existence was this to be able to fight against a peak great saint? The golden eye became the only thing in the world blocking the terrifying palm in the sky. It seems that if I don't use some real means, I won't be able to suppress you, the clone in the sky said coldly. In the next moment, a terrifying power burst out, and the entire world trembled. Everyone in Qianquan ancient city knelt on the ground in fear. Lin Xian and the others also held their breaths. This attack was too powerful. Chapter 45-24. Boom. The punch was like a vast ocean. The force of 10,000 caddies whistled past, and nothing could stop it. Below, the small town was destroyed and turned into nothingness. The old man's figure became blurry, as if he was about to disappear. But at this moment, the old man's eyes suddenly emitted a vast aura. The golden light in the sky quickly intertwined and formed a pair of strange eyes. The heavenly secret god eyes had some strange golden runes. But at this moment, the golden runes disappeared. Instead, they were like ripples that overlapped. It was like a black eye with a golden pupil. There were 6 holes that connected to each other and formed a reincarnation diagram. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the eyes appeared, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. The fist that was moving forward collapsed and was suppressed. The figure in the sky stopped. The fist shook and he screamed in fear. Reincarnation eyes. What? Reincarnation eyes. Could it be the legendary Rinnegan eyes? Zhang Songsheng was so excited that his body trembled. He was going crazy. This was the legendary heavenly secret god eyes. Even Lin Xian was shocked. What was going on? Was it the Rinnegan eyes? What did it have to do with the reincarnation sword? And why was it created by the heavenly secret god eyes? This was unbelievable. The sage-like old man threw his head back and laughed uproariously. His figure dimmed, but his eyes became even more terrifying. That's right, the Rinnegan eyes. Damn it, you're just an illusion. You're not the real Qian Grand Sage. You're no longer at your peak. So what if you have the Rinnegan eyes? The figure in the sky roared crazily. Everyone was shocked. Qian Grand Sage. Could it be the legendary Qian Grand Sage? Lin Xian was shocked too. He had heard of the legend of Qian Grand Sage. He was the disciple of Qian Kuan Emperor. Qian Kuan Emperor had 2 disciples. They were Qian Grand Sage and Kuan Grand Sage. Both of them stood at the peak of the great sage realm and could be said to be invincible. But this was something that happened 100,000 years ago. It was impossible for them to be alive. Lin Xian knew that this was a combination of illusions and remnant souls. That person had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Who was that figure in the sky? That's right, I'm no longer as strong as I used to be, the Qian Grand Sage said coldly. But so what? You are not my junior brother, the Kuan Grand Sage. You are merely his descendant. If I'm not wrong, you haven't completely cultivated the Six Paths body, right? How can you compete with Rinnegan? Everyone was shocked once again. The person in the sky was indeed related to the Kuan Grand Sage. Not the Kuan Grand Sage, but the descendant of the Kuan Grand Sage. As for the Six Paths body, what was that? Lin Xian was also surprised, but he felt that it had something to do with the Samsara sword. Rinnegan, Six Paths body. Lin Xian felt that this matter was becoming more and more mysterious. It seemed that the power related to the Samsara sword was about to appear. Is that so? Although I haven't fully cultivated the Six Paths body, I have already cultivated some of the Six Paths fists. I'll let you experience the power of my Six Dao fist. After he finished speaking, he roared at the sky, and a terrifying fist rushed down. 6 phantoms appeared between heaven and earth, as if they were connected to 6 different worlds. With a single punch, the heavens fell, and the earth cracked. Boom, boom, boom. The Rinnegan of the Qian Grand Sage's phantoms exploded with boundless radiance. It charged toward the Six Paths fists. When the two of them collided, the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation exploded and engulfed everyone. No, are we going to die? Although the two of them weren't real bodies, their power was definitely at the level of a great sage. Moreover, they were at the late stage of the great sage realm, and they couldn't resist such power. Lin Xian also felt that his body was about to split open. His body flickered, and he used the void escape technique to come to Xue Qi's side. He was about to use the Grand Sage Pagoda to defend himself. However, at this moment, the Qian Grand Sage sneered. It's useless. I know that you want the Rinnegan. However, you don't have the opportunity to obtain it. After he finished speaking, the Rinnegan exploded with radiance once again. Reincarnation, heaven and earth. Everyone felt as if heaven and earth had been turned upside down, and the sun and the moon were spinning. Their bodies were enveloped by a mysterious power. After that, they were teleported out. At this moment, Lin Xian felt as if he had been struck by lightning. This was because he sensed a voice surging into his soul outside of this mystical power. Fated One, I didn't expect you to be able to comprehend the mysterious 12 maps and possess the mysterious heavenly god eyes. You are a descendant of the mysterious heavenly god race. There are a total of 24 mysterious heavenly god diagrams. The last 12 diagrams are with me. I will now pass them to you. After you finish cultivating the 24 mysterious heavenly god diagrams, you will be able to form the Rinnegan. At that time, you will have the opportunity to summon the Sword of Reincarnation. Also, don't get caught by the successor of the 6 paths, remember. The voice sounded and disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, Lin Xian felt that there were 12 more diagrams in his mind, a total of 24 diagrams. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. The mysterious heavenly god eyes were evolving and could become the Rinnegan. Moreover, the Rinnegan could summon the Sword of Reincarnation. This was unbelievable. Damn it, you actually passed the Rinnegan to someone else. Who did you give it to? Between heaven and earth, a roar sounded. The peerless doppelganger roared crazily. The Qian Grand Sage's final voice disappeared. It's useless. You will never know where the Rinnegan went. Damn it. No one here is allowed to escape. I will search your soul strictly. I don't believe that you can hide it anywhere. A powerful force enveloped Lin Xian and the others. Everyone felt as if their bodies were being torn apart. Not good. The peerless doppelganger of the great sage wants to kill them. Even Lin Xian's face turned pale. Although he had obtained the 24 mysterious heavenly god diagrams, with his current strength, he was unable to resist the doppelganger. Fortunately, the Qian Grand Sage's power managed to send them out of the Universal Palace safely. At the same time, the doppelganger was enveloped and disappeared. Are we saved? After Lin Xian and the others came out, they heaved a sigh of relief. Xueqi heaved a sigh of relief and revealed a smile. It was really a new lease of life. The other people's faces were also gloomy. They did not expect that such a peerless figure would appear in the end. Fortunately, they had the Rinnegan of the Qian Grand Sage. Otherwise, they would have died. What did the last words mean? The Rinnegan disappeared. Could it be that it was passed to someone else? Moreover, the doppelganger would not let them go. Was it because someone among them had obtained it? In an instant, a terrifying radiance burst out from Zhang Sangxing's eyes. He looked around and stared at everyone. Stop looking. Do you really think that any of us can obtain the Rinnegan? What a joke. That guy just said it casually to deceive the doppelganger of the great sage. That's right, this was just a diversion. It was unbelievable. The two old men said coldly. After hearing that, the others sighed. Indeed, the sword of reincarnation was such a terrifying inheritance. How could they have obtained it? Chapter 45:25. They didn't know that Lin Xian had already obtained the 12 mysterious heavenly maps. Moreover, Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul. 2 of the 5 swords in the world were related to him. If these people knew about this, they would go crazy. Of course, Lin Xian wouldn't tell them about this secret. He just stood there without saying a word. No one knew what he was thinking. The Misty Peaks people stared at Lin Xian with cold, killing intent in their eyes. They had to get rid of this guy. They didn't do this because he dared to challenge the Misty Peak. However, the 2 experts who came out of the mysterious heavenly pavilion also stared at the Misty Peak. The Misty Peaks people acted as if they were facing a great enemy. Let's go! They gritted their teeth and soared into the sky. The 2 experts sneered and thought. You left quickly? Then they turned their heads and looked at Lin Xian. Lad, let's see what secrets you have. Before they finished speaking, Lin Xian used the void escape technique and disappeared with Xueqi. You want to escape? Do you think you can escape? One of the old men sneered and waved his hand, taking out a large flag. Countless souls flew out to investigate. Found him. He smiled and was about to attack. But at this moment, he suddenly froze. What's going on? His aura has disappeared. What a strange lad. I can't sense him either. The other old man frowned. The third gray-haired old man's body flickered and disappeared. Damn it, that lad has a treasure that can block our investigation. They quickly searched the entire Qianquan ancient city. The 2 of them acted quickly. However, in the end, they still couldn't find Lin Xian. This made the 2 of them extremely frustrated. Forget it. Let's go back first. We have been trapped here for several thousand years. We don't need to waste time here. The 2 old men soared into the sky and disappeared. Great. Those 2 guys left. Lin Xian said to Xueqi as the golden radiance in his eyes disappeared. Xueqi heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at Lin Xian and asked, Are you okay? Lin Xian nodded. I'm okay. Next, it was almost time to go back. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He was very satisfied. This time, he was actually able to discover the secret of the heavenly secret divine eyes. Now that he had acquired the 12 heavenly fortune maps, he would no longer have to worry about his eye technique cultivation. He just needed to cultivate the 24 Tao diagrams. His heavenly secret divine eyes could then evolve into the true eye of samsara. At this moment, he had already mastered the first 12 diagrams. Next, he would cultivate the last 12 diagrams. The 2 of them prepared to split up and returned to the 1,000-mountain grotto heaven. However, as soon as he left, another terrifying aura descended from the sky. Had another great sage arrived? The people of Qianquan ancient city acted as if they were facing a great enemy. A great sage had just left, and now another great sage had arrived. Moreover, there was more than one. Indeed, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He concealed his aura and did not act rashly. The toad jumped over and said, "So many great sages. What's going on?" When this fellow entered the Universal Palace and discovered that the aura there was not right, he immediately jumped out. He had not experienced what had happened before. However, the clone from before still made him feel as if he was facing a great enemy. Now, so many great sages had appeared. Lin Xian said, "I think they should be investigating the identity of the previous one." As expected, these great sages were from the various grotto heavens and the Misty Peak. After they arrived, they carefully investigated. That figure had already left. They communicated with each other, and then heaved a sigh of relief. Then they began to ask their disciples what was going on. When they learned that the person who came was the descendant of the Kuan great sage, moreover, when the phantom of the Qian great sage appeared, as well as the Rinnegan and the Six Paths body, they were all stunned. These legendary existences had all appeared now. Quickly search. They entered the Universal Tower, only to find that it had already turned into nothingness. Nothing existed anymore. Damn it. The supreme creation had disappeared in front of them just like that. These great sages could not bear it and roared at the sky. The stars in the sky cracked, and the moon shook as if the world was about to end. Since the Qian great sage and the Kuan great sage had both appeared, the legend of Qianquan ancient city was true. This was definitely a city built by the great emperor, and it must contain the secrets of the great emperor. These great sages joined forces and began to search the Qianquan ancient city. They even used monstrous laws of the Great Path to attack. The Qianquan ancient city shook, and many people vomited blood. Lin Xian's face was also pale. Were these guys crazy? These great sages used terrifying supernatural powers, and endless light rushed towards the Qianquan ancient city. At this moment, the Qianquan ancient city seemed to have changed and shone again. Those demonic shadows roared, and they all prostrated on the ground. The surrounding people could not breathe. Now, there were 10 great sages. The 10 great sages were like gods, suppressing heaven and earth. Under their joint forces, the Qianquan ancient city changed. Finally, the Qianquan ancient city cracked open, and countless rays of light flowed. At the same time, countless divine crystals flew out. It was like a meteor shower, causing countless people to exclaim. There were things sealed in those divine crystals. Quickly, these people were snatching frantically. Humph! In the sky, a great sage snorted and struck down like lightning. Suddenly, hundreds of figures shattered and turned into a bloody mist. The others were frightened and no longer dared to move. Snatching treasures in front of these great sages was courting death. The geniuses of Ethereal Peak were the same. Their eyes were burning, but they did not dare to act rashly. Lin Xian was also surprised. As expected of a great sage, his vision was broader than theirs. They had searched for so long, but did not find anything. They only found a small amount of Sage King's will. The moment these great sages made a move, so many treasures appeared. He did not move, but Little White began to move. He took out the treasure bowl and began to collect the treasures. He did not take many, but each time it was a very important treasure. Not long after, a small mountain was piled up on his side. Those great sages ignored him. Their eyes were like divine light that swept through the ancient city. Heaven and Earth Emperor was incomparably terrifying. There were many legends about him, and his 2 disciples were also very famous. But other than the Rinnegan and 6 Paths body, Heaven and Earth Emperor had an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, Reincarnation Disc, but in the legends, the Reincarnation Disc did not appear. Now that the relationship between Qianquan Ancient City and Heaven and Earth Emperor was confirmed, they guessed that the real Reincarnation Disc was very likely in this ancient city. If they could get it, then whether it was them or their grotto heavens, they would soar into the sky. So, how could these great sages not be excited? Attack. The 10 great sages were like heavenly gods descending from heaven. The entire Qianquan ancient city shook violently. Suddenly, the sky shook and the earth shook. A large formation appeared, covering the world. Not good. There was a formation. Was it left behind by the Heaven and Earth Emperor? Countless exclamations sounded. And even those great sages were incomparably solemn. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.